Oh man. Oh yes, y'all.
That's staying in.
Yes, y'all. You know who it is. It's them kids and wives and 925s, but we are still married to the games. Episode 352. And I gotta apologize.
Why? That was
no,
amazing.
man. That was great.
I liked it.
Ugly.
One of my favorites.
Oh my
I know, right?
He is human.
It's like he's summoning the mighty Minotaur or something. Oh, yes, yes, yes.
I just came from the first DC Talk show on the cruise.
Ooh.
Yes.
And for those of you that know any of my history at all, I danced for DC Talk when I was 10 years old and stayed with them for a year. That's how I know Toby in the first place. And then me and Toby have just stayed connected all through these years. And so as DC Talk is reuniting, 2 years ago, they reunited on this same cruise.
Mm-hmm.
And because we had just had Milo like 6 or 7 months before, I jumped off the boat to go help Jenny be and kind of co-parent, 3 new children, having 3 kids for the first time. And so I didn't get to watch their show 2 years ago. So tonight was the first time I've seen them reunited, and I sang every word.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
And so not only did we do 3 shows the other night, but singing along with DC Talk tonight. And so my voice is trash because when you're not on stage, you yell the lyrics just like everybody.
Right, there's no mic in
day
front
by
of you.
day by day by day. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I was going for broke, so that's why. Oh, yes.
That was
Are
great.
you done with shows for the week, or do you still have more?
So I'm done with shows. We had
Good.
the 3 shows on the first night, and I had to do, and it was a little daunting because Ryan Stevenson opened up for us, so I still had to try to sound pretty and not jack up his song "Eye of the Storm."
Nice.
Yes.
And then I had to sing along, obviously do the Toby Mac shows, and those were an hour each, and so doing that 3 times in one night just trashed my
Whoosh.
voice. And then since then we've been really, really busy, a lot more busy than I thought we would be. And then the cruise is different in the sense of
Yeah?
the fans, especially when you perform the first night, they really know who you are.
Right.
And so they are not shy, nor should they be, of grabbing you every 3 seconds while you're, trying to walk from place to place.
Oh, boy.
And so I laid in my bed last night and I had to tell myself, because I felt myself getting a little attitude because I went to bed at like 2:30 in the morning, so I was just tired. And
Mm-hmm.
I could feel myself I had to tell myself, I was like, they're your boss. They're
Yeah,
your
yeah,
boss.
yeah, yeah.
They are your boss. And I think it's one of the things that artists in general don't discuss much, but if fans don't listen to the content you create, then you don't get to fill up a cruise ship of
Exactly.
people that want to hear you sing.
Good perspective. Yep.
And so I had to have the perspective of if it's not for these guys, not for the men and women and the kids that are grabbing me, following me around. There was last night, me and Jenny were like, they're just following us, I think,
Yeah.
around. And so, we'd go from floor to floor and there they were. And
That's
you
not
change
creepy
floors,
at all,
there they
is
were.
it?
And then, and then they'd work their way around and see you and be like, oh, hey, so, and then, want to ask you another question and get another picture. And so I had to
Right.
be like, they're your boss. They're the reason you're here. And so I've come out of that and I've got a good attitude now. I'm grateful to be on this cruise. I got to bring my wife, no children. And
Yeah.
so we finally got the day together today. Monday and Tuesday were crazy. So we got to have today together, which was really great. And watch DC Talk tonight. So it was a nice
Nice.
little nostalgic
That's great, man.
day. And then I gotta brag on my wife. Sorry, I know I just launched into my week, but
Yeah, go
Oh,
for
that's
it,
fine.
man.
I got to give it up to my wife. My wife was kind of putting together the pieces just a minute right before the podcast to me. And it was so sweet because her mom bought her a DC Talk CD in 5th grade or
Oh,
something like
awesome.
that. She didn't know anything about DC Talk, nothing like that. Her mom actually bought it for herself, but gave it to Jenny, like parents do when especially Christian parents, when they find music that they feel like their kids will actually like.
Right.
They're like, "Ooh, listen to this. It's cool." And so, and so she was just kind of weaving together for me and painting the picture of, that's when DC Talk entered her life. Now, she didn't end up staying a DC Talk fan per se, but she did know who they were and aware of them. She didn't get the albums after, but, and then to grow up and then be able to work in their home and be their nanny and things like that. And then, through all that, as God's doing things in my life where I'm still with Toby and I'm his assistant and I'm around the house all the time.
Yeah.
And then that's how we meet. And then, here we are 11 and a half,
Isn't that
12
amazing?
years in August later, being married and having 3 kids and then seeing this guy on stage. I never get to see Toby on stage from the crowd.
Right.
Even tonight when I was walking him to the stage, I was like, all right, buddy, we got to hurry. I'm going to get you to your room and then we got to get you dressed and then we'll get downstairs. And he goes, well, when are you getting dressed? And I was like, oh, I'm not doing this show. Like, this is your
This
show.
is all you, man.
But, 17 years of being together, we're just used to saying like, okay, you get dressed and I'll go get dressed and I'll meet you at the stage. And so it was sweet that he was kind of like, when are you getting dressed? I was like, this is all you, baby. You got this. So.
That's amazing, man. That's awesome.
Anyway, that's pretty much my week, man. Been on the boat all week. Been I got the internet package so that number one, so I could text my wife and things like that if we were separated and things like that. But also been trying to catch a little of this E3 stuff. I was telling Toby, I was like, man, this is the week of E3, and so been trying to catch stuff when I can. But also I'm really wanting to pour into Jenny and the time that we have together. I'm trying not to be on my phone because I'm really good at being on my phone. So just trying to make sure that we get that time together. So I'm going to sound like Router at the end of my weekend update and say I haven't been playing much, but Clash Royale, and that's
baby.
it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Nice.
Yes, sir. That's amazing.
Eduardo, I'll tell you this much, though. I texted these guys before I left. I was like, hey, try to do no spoilers for me. If you guys want to talk about the pressers, you guys just talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to try to watch them on the plane. And then I couldn't download the Microsoft one fully before I got on the plane, but I watched a bunch of it. I didn't get to see barely anything, so I kind of just got to see the highlights. I stayed away from like all the at mentions that I was getting. I didn't really. You guys would be proud.
Yeah, you guys did great.
I stayed off Twitter.
Nice.
I stayed off Twitter, Instagram, and Discord for 2 full days.
Right during
Look at
E3
it at all, and and tried to just take it in as they would want you to, but of course inevitably I didn't have time to really sit down and watch everything. But I did get caught up on a bunch of stuff. So thank you guys, number one, for being courteous of my ask, and number two, I've been seeing just the hangout go off and off and off. I'm like, doggone it, I want to be talking with everyone right now. So I was living vicariously through you guys these last couple days. So
that's funny.
I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you making this podcast happen tonight. And I was a little late. The show ran late, and then we had to powwow afterwards. So I had to go backstage, tell Toby what I liked, what I didn't like, what I thought could change. 95% of it I really enjoyed, especially as a youth group kid. But so it was just good to talk to him and see how everybody was feeling afterwards. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for listening. And it's E3 week, baby.
Yeah, it is.
It's the best week for video gamers, man. It's awesome. So I'm excited just to be alive. This is a good time for video games.
Yeah, it's kind of like a weird take on Christmas where we all find out what we're going to get.
That's a nice way to think of it.
We find out what we're going to be asking for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's funny. Ed, how you been, buddy?
Good, man. Good. Sarah and I had a pretty low key weekend, which was nice. The Tapmans came over, and Nathan played all the way through the VR game Blood and Truth.
Wow!
In one sitting, he tore through it, and then he finished.
No sickness for his playthrough of the best VR game ever.
No sickness at all.
Okay. Yeah.
He finished up. His wife Stacy hopped in for, I think she played for about 3.5 hours. And so it's just kind of cool just to watch them. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. And just, like we've said on here before, it's always nice when you like a game and someone else also likes it. And so it was good to see. It was just fun watching them enjoy themselves so much.
I told somebody earlier on the boat, I was like, since the boat's rocking and everybody's fighting off seasickness, I should have just brought Blood and Truth and played it on here. And
there you go. You would have been just fine.
I mean,
exactly.
You'd have fit right in.
You know, and maybe
exactly.
Maybe you'll be able to do it when you get home because you might still be feeling a little bit that a couple of days after.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Perfect. That's what I'm going to do. Perfect.
There you go.
I meant to ask, have the seas been okay, or has it been pretty choppy?
Yeah, I've been great. We actually tried to get a smaller boat for this cruise, but they didn't have any available. So we got one of those behemoth, like huge boats. We parked next to some Norwegian Cruise Lines boats today, and we were like, we're on a big boat, so we really haven't felt anything. And so it's been really nice. I haven't had any tummy problems or anything like that. Of course, when you're up there dancing and they're taking off and you're first getting onto the sea, you're like, whoa, snap. Okay, all right. That feels different than when I'm usually dancing. But,
right.
You know, it's been totally fine.
Good.
All the meals have stayed down. No weirdness. So
Good.
That's awesome. Good.
During my slow Saturday this week, I went ahead and platinum Days Gone, and so
why not? Right?
That was nuts.
You are such an idiot.
That's
my
amazing.
gosh. That was the last thing I was expecting to see.
That's awesome.
I feel like I remember distinctly hearing you like, so I'm not getting this platinum.
Well, and it's funny too because you don't have to kill all the hordes to get the platinum. So,
nice.
It's ingenious.
When I realized that, I was like, oh, okay, so just spin out on my bike for 5 seconds. Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
And so I kind of, then I went online and they were like, this is a really easy plat to get. And I'm like, hey, I'm down for an easy plat. So I went ahead and knocked that out. I'm probably done with the game. I think I probably got rid of half of the hordes. I probably won't go back in. But yeah, I still had a great time. And some of the listeners are now playing through it. And it's kind of fun to hear them, what they're going through that I went through a month ago. And just kind of relive vicariously through them.
Is anybody else proud of Ed for like platinum hunting now? Like I'm really proud of
absolutely,
him. Not having one platinum a year ago, and now we have like 3 or 4 or something like that.
I think I have 2. Like Spider-Man was my first, and then this is my second.
Hey, it's something.
Okay. I thought you had another one for some reason.
Yeah,
and the Telltale games, but did you just play that on something else?
I played that. It was on Xbox. Yeah.
There you go. We'll count them.
Yes. Yeah. So
you won.
I'm definitely not platinum hunting just because I'll usually after I finish look at the trophies and be like, nope, I can't do that, and I'll just go on to the next one.
Yeah.
You know your limitations.
4 headshots while I'm wall riding.
Yeah. Exactly. Nope, that's up to Chris. So
exactly.
Played some more Everybody's Golf this week. Really liking that game. It's a nice, chill game. It's a really nice game to play after I stream. Just kind of like unwind and just hit a golf ball around. Playing some Overwatch. Metro Exodus landed on Xbox Game Pass, so I picked that up today and played about an hour of that, and it just wasn't a game for me. I know some people really enjoyed it, and for me it was just like I'm just not really feeling it. And that's what's kind of nice about Game Pass is that you can play a game for an hour and be like, nope, and you have no guilt about just stopping. You haven't spent $60 and bailed on it. It's just kind of nice to be able to like dip your toe in. And so I played that for about an hour today, and then I picked up in the whole apocalyptic theme. I picked up Fallout 76, which is free for a week. And I thought, look, I didn't enjoy Fallout 4, but at least I want to give this a shot. It's free. I don't have anything to lose.
Yep,
exactly.
And so I played it for about 3 hours, and it's Fallout. You know, if you like Fallout, I think you'll love the game. It was another one that it didn't click with me when I was done. I went ahead and deleted it from the hard drive, but not like angrily, just kind of like, I gave it a shot. And I know it's not for me, but other people love it, and I got no problem with that.
There you go.
And then game-wise, finally, Beat Saber released their Imagine Dragons pack DLC.
I know, that was
nice.
sick.
Oh,
Beat Saber's got Imagine Dragons songs now?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's like 8 or 10 of them or something.
10 of them.
Okay.
And
I'm doing that.
I didn't realize how many of their songs I knew. I found myself like, that's Imagine Dragons too? I had no idea. So
they're great. They're great. They're
so
a great
much
band.
fun. And these songs flow so nicely. The movements, it feels whoever programmed the swings and the slices did an amazing job. It feels so fluid and so natural. Even when it's going crazy, man, it feels nice. So
what does the
welcome.
music pack what does it cost? The Imagine Dragons one. Is it the same as the other ones, or is it more expensive because
it's
it's licensed?
the same. I want to say it was $13.
Okay. I hadn't been on the store yet. I was gonna go check out what the price was. And...
Yeah. So yeah, definitely worth it, and definitely. I finished up and I was like, I think I'm an Imagine Dragons fan, and I didn't even know it. So it was
nice.
That's so great. I love that.
I do too. So it's been a nice week, and of course watched a bunch of E3, but we'll get into that later.
Yes.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, bud.
Chris McCracken.
Yes. So
what's been shaking with you?
Man, it's been kind of crazy here. At least over the weekend, we had this crazy storm come through. And the thing that's weird about it is that it wasn't like there was no tornadoes. The rain was definitely heavy in some parts, but in some areas it was just, relatively normal in terms of the rain. But the wind was insane. And we lost power on Sunday. I think E3 in Central Time was supposed to start at like 2. It was 1:30 and power is out.
Oh.
And I'm like, all right, I've only lost power one other time here, and it came back up pretty quick. So I'm like, all right, it might, maybe 30 minutes or whatever. It didn't come back till 11:30 at night.
Oh man.
Yeah. So,
and we have to say too, that's one of the reasons we moved the podcast to Wednesday, because we were going to record Monday morning when I was at a hotel and had solid internet. But then I knew that I wasn't taking in all the information I wanted to by the time we recorded. And then when Chris said he lost power and didn't know when it was coming back on, we were like, it's better to have all three of you guys do the show, having seen everything, than rush the show and, kind of come with half news because so much stuff would have been released afterwards. So I'm glad you actually didn't stay without power for too long.
Yeah, but the crazy thing about it is that a lot of areas of Dallas are still without power.
Oh wow!
And
really?
I have a friend.
What?
We have people at our office because they live more. Some of them live more in the downtown area. One of Stacy's really close coworkers that she works with all the time just got power last night, and another friend of mine only just got power about an hour ago.
Whoosh!
And like a crane fell over and like hit an apartment building and all kinds of crazy stuff. So this is like the most crazy stuff that I've seen come from a storm that didn't involve tornadoes that came through the city.
Right. It's just a severe storm and then blew through, and that was it. Wow.
Yeah, it's been kind of ridiculous. Luckily, I was like, oh, here I am, like, oh, I'm without power, I can't watch this E3 stuff, and like people are still doing. It's like, man, I feel pretty dang fortunate because my power came back at least the same day. Granted, it was when I was asleep throughout the night, but at least it came back relatively quickly. So, I know I think most of stuff is back to normal, at least in terms of the power-wise, but I'm pretty sure last I heard on the news, there was at least a few areas that still are out without power right now. So hopefully they're going to get all that stuff situated and figured out. I can't imagine what all happened to where has been out this long, it's been taking them this long to get everything going back.
Right.
Aside from that, still just prepping for, we're going to be shooting on location a couple of times next week. Getting things all set and prepped for that. And then Spencer Stapleton, Street Team,
yes sir,
reached out to me and asked if I would guest on his podcast Fortress of Nerditude. So I did that last night.
Oh, nice.
With Mr. Hollywood Bones.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
cool.
with the
Nice.
boat.
That's the first time I'd been on his show. So I can mark that off my list of podcasts I've been able to guest on. It was a lot of fun. I was really appreciated that he asked me to be on there, and it kind of helped me sharpen my knives about the E3 talk because we talked a little E3 on his show as well. So I'm ready to go and chat it up tonight. Gaming front,
nice.
Gaming front with the power being out a little while, and then just so Stacy goes out of town this Saturday. She'll be only going to be on about a week. But we've been doing some stuff and gathering things and kind of making sure that I'm spending time with her and everything before she heads out of town. So I haven't gotten a ton of gaming in. I did get as much Overwatch as I could right before the event ended. I ended up still having to buy 4 or 5 things that I was really wanting to have. Luckily, I was sitting on like 14,000 coins, so It wasn't a huge deal. Got pretty much everything that I wanted out of it, either stuff that had dropped or I just had the money and purchased what I wanted. Apex Legends has been playing some more of that. It had, or I think still has, an event going on where like there's like an elite queue and there's these other little things that if you finish these challenges, you can get like a skin for a character or a couple skins for guns. So I completed all of those challenges, got all those done.
Nice, man.
And then just waiting on some stuff we'll talk about here at E3 because they announced a few things about Apex. So looking forward to that. Starts next month. And then obviously I've also been playing Hearthstone. like a madman. I'm so excited to be back on that game.
That's awesome,
because
man.
I missed having a phone game. I'm always so jealous when you guys are talking about like, oh yeah, Clash Royale, I got this, or I'm playing this other thing, or Altos, what's it? I'm like, dang it, I need a phone game again. So I'm glad Hearthstone is my phone game again because it's my one true phone game love. So I'm glad it's back.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. That is it.
Good for you. Tim Router.
Yes, sir, man. I miss you. That's all I can say. I miss you.
Hey,
I know you're on a boat
miss me
and
being in Franklin.
it's going fast, but I still miss you. But I'm glad you're having a good time, and been seeing some of your Instagram posts from Jenny. So living vicariously through you guys on a boat, which is awesome. My sweet wife has a gum grafting surgery tomorrow in her mouth. She's had some gum recession on both sides of her jaw, and so like 2 years ago we did the left side, and then they decided that this week, hey, we need to do the right side too. So they essentially take skin from the roof of your mouth and then put it over to your gums, and then she's good to go. So she's got that going on tomorrow, so she'll be out for Thursday and Friday, but it's usually a pretty quick thing, and hopefully that'll all be good to go. Let's see. Sunday, Piper's recital. You would think it was a 3.5 hour long marathon. 45 minutes.
That is what you would think.
No, man.
What?
45 minutes, boom, out. It was amazing. Piper did
way.
great. She had 2 dances. The good thing is that the dance company split up the recitals. So there was a 3 o'clock on a Sunday and a 6 o'clock, and we were the 6 o'clock. And so it was a 45-minute, boom, out, and it was amazing. So it wasn't like a Super Bowl nightmare, which is great.
Right.
Piper's got a few more camps this week, mostly cheer camps, so we're keeping her busy. And then on the gaming front, so Mr. Ed decided to send me a link about Soldier 76 because we were having an Overwatch conversation about it. And
Burn Blue?
Burn Blue? Exactly. And I watched that, and then I went on this huge like YouTube rabbit hole of Soldier 76 and tips and tricks and all kinds of fun stuff. And that night, I jumped in with my boy Ed, and I had the most successful night of Overwatch ever in my life. I actually paid attention to the tips and tricks on YouTube and just had so much fun.
There you go.
I'm so
playing
happy
Soldier.
for you, man. You were killing it.
So much fun playing
Nice.
Soldier, and so now I'm hooked even more. So it's just been it's fun playing Overwatch anytime I can now, and I'm really enjoying it.
That's right, baby.
Yeah, man.
Still plowing through Spider-Man. I'm about 15% completed. I'm seriously just taking my time and running around and just unlocking everything and just and leveling up and having a good time. That and Clash Royale, and that is it for me.
Nice. I'm surprised.
So on brand.
Exactly, right?
Well, Router,
Yes, sir.
you got this thing?
I got it if you can hear me.
Well, let's do it!
All right, new releases this week. Fallout 76 Nuclear Winter Expansion comes out for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. The Last Remnant Remastered for the Switch. Battle Worlds Chronos for the Switch. Collection of Mana for the Switch. Cadence of Hyrule for the Switch. Forza Horizon 4 Lego Speed Champions DLC for the PC and Xbox One. World End Syndrome. And Kingdom Come Deliverance Royal Edition for the Xbox One, PS4. That is it for me. Let's get to this E3 junk, boys. Come on.
I know that's right. Ed, I'm going to lean on you to do the driving because I know that you watched a lot of the stuff. And so I'm going to let you guys take it away, and I'll interject where I can on the things that I saw. But I would love to have you guys break it down for me. I'm going to be like a listener this week. I'll be like, oh, really? That's crazy. Oh, for real? Nuh-uh. What? This year? That's crazy. Scarlet? Sweet. So
Yes.
take it away, Edward. We're gonna go in order, yeah?
Yeah, I'll just go in order of that they appear in my little book here, which is the order that they aired, and I'm sure. I was telling Sarah as I was taking these notes. She said, "Did the other guys do that?" And I was like, I am certain Chris is taking notes at least.
I wish I'd have been like noting it up had I had power when all that stuff was going on Sunday. And Monday and Tuesday were so crazy, and I was just like, I'm heartbroken. This sucks.
Yeah.
I'm just reading stuff on Twitter. I'm only watching a video.
Yeah. And if I would have been home, I'd have taken notes too. I take notes every year. I love it.
Yeah.
I just sit there with my phone in my hand, and as they say stuff, I'm like, click, 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 and
Right.
click, 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 click.
I know. I watched it on my computer and had a note text edit up, and I was just typing away as I was going along. So
Yep.
it's good stuff. Can I just have to say, just to start off, what's the deal with all the zip-up jackets that every presenter came out with? Because it happened in Microsoft, Bethesda.
Really?
Everybody had zip-up. If you look,
Don't they
everybody
always?
had zip. I don't know, but like you normally were just having a T-shirt. But everybody was just wearing these typical gray zip-up jackets the whole time. That's just one
Like
little thing I
hoodies?
noticed.
I honestly didn't even notice.
No. Just
I didn't
like,
either.
Like windbreaker style jackets. And then they had like a T-shirt, a graphic T-shirt underneath. And I'm like,
I did not even
was
notice,
there
I'll
like
be
a
honest.
uniform for presenting in these press conferences that I didn't know
Maybe it
about?
was chilly.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Anyway,
Were they like branded like with different games
they
and
were
things like that? or-
solid gray. It was all solid gray. It was the
Man,
weirdest
now you got
thing.
me wanting to go back and look at all
Go
this.
back. I'm telling you, go back and look.
I didn't notice.
Everybody had a zip-up jacket. It was hysterical.
I feel like that. I don't know. As I think about it, I guess I feel like that's what they wear every year, but maybe not. Maybe
Well, a
it's
lot
just
of times,
t-shirts.
like I know Phil
Well,
Spencer and a
some
couple of
people
the other
reveal
ones,
shirts.
they'll do like a sport coat and then a
Right.
T-shirt underneath it.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
no,
true.
there was it was all zip-ups. It was hilarious.
Wow.
And Homeboy from Sony has often revealed his shirt.
Yes.
And so I know
Sean
that he's
Layden.
worn some jackets that he can. Yeah, Sean can usually unzips and
Yeah.
shows like I think he did that for Crash Bandicoot one year, or maybe he just comes out wearing the shirt. I don't remember, but
Okay,
that's
right.
an interesting detail to take away.
That's funny.
All right, let's do this.
So what were they talking about in their zip up hoodies and EA?
I know.
EA
right?
Play,
Well-
baby. Let's go.
EA started off, and of course, the very first thing they showed us was 15 minutes of gameplay for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And
Quick question.
yes.
Did you guys like the way they did their press conference? Because it ended up being like 2.5 hours long, which I feel like is a little too long. But then it was interesting seeing them do a deep dive instead of announcing things we didn't know were coming. Did you guys enjoy that? Everybody likes Greg. I feel like he does more yelling than me, but everybody, enjoys Greg and everything. Did you guys like that format?
It didn't feel like 2.5 hours to me, even though some of them were games I had no interest in. I just wish I can see why they did it, but I prefer when they don't tell you what they're going to do, so that each one is a surprise as it comes up. They had announced, from
That's
the
exactly
get-go.
what I thought.
Yeah,
Yes, I didn't like and coming up Apex Legends. You're like, oh man, shoot,
right.
just lay it on me.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. I mean,
Yeah.
I hear exactly what you guys are saying, and I kind of feel that too, because I enjoy that at certain times, but I don't mind at least one of them being a bit different and kind of telling me what's coming, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
There you go.
I just, for these press conferences, I want game, go. I don't need like discussion in between. That's what E3 is for. That's for all the after. That's like the after press conference stuff.
Yeah, it did feel like it felt like a wrap up of what we just saw instead of the announcements of what's coming.
And that's
Right.
that's also
Right.
that's also me being impatient because I want to know what they've got. Like what's going on. What's the next thing? So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I as soon as Star Wars started playing, I was like, "Ooh, this." It said alpha footage, which is obviously before beta footage is better than alpha for the most part, and I was really impressed. I know there were different opinions that people had on how it looked. For one, I would have played it as is. I thought it looked
Really?
amazing. Yeah, I really liked it.
I did not feel that way.
I did not
Really?
feel that way at all. I thought
Oh, man.
the Wookiees look like clay monsters.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
didn't
they
think
looked
it
so
looked that
weird.
great.
I didn't like that at all.
His
Yeah.
hair, it looked like he had a hair helmet on. Like
Right,
the hair
yeah.
that they put on that guy looked stiff.
Yeah, I didn't mind it at all. It didn't and maybe I'm just used to current.
It's because you play all those Lego games.
I know that's what it is.
Yeah, when I saw, because it was Forrest Whitaker playing Saul Guerrero, which makes sense because he did in the movies. But I really had, I think that's supposed to be Forrest. Sounds like him, but
that's how I thought.
See, that's so funny because as soon as I saw him, I was like, yeah, Forrest Whitaker.
Well, yeah, I was like that too. I was like, hey, that's Forrest Whitaker, but it looked like they used like the face swap on Instagram. Like it didn't, or
that's so
Snapchat.
funny.
yeah, something. It looked very soft, like devoid of
off.
texture, and it just something was off about it. I will say that the character models of like just running through the world, the main guy and everything, I think most of that stuff was fine. Again, it did very much specify alpha or pre-alpha or whatever. So I feel they have time to clean up. I from the gameplay standpoint, I was like, oh yeah, this looks like this would be fun. I would play this. But I was just like, this doesn't really, for as much time as they're devoting to it, it doesn't look that great.
Wow. Really?
And for me, I was really glad that they came out the gate saying one player action adventure game.
Yes.
Like
yes.
I love to know that there's a Star Wars story coming instead of just like a Star Wars, multiplayer something that's going to be, devoid of any kind of story.
More than just a little mini campaign than what they had the last time.
And them saying it was canon. It was always nice, which we know once Disney got a hold of it that everything that came out was going to be canon. But I'm glad that even the video games they've decided to make canon as well. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I did like the little BD1 unit on your back. I thought he was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yes.
Yeah. The things that you can do in the game.
He looked the best out of everything.
Yeah, right?
He actually did, yeah.
That's so funny, man. See, there you go. Just different people see different things. I love that.
I mean, I love the slow motion Force stuff. I thought was really cool that you can do that. The lightsaber combat was great. It just looked weird to me, honestly.
Wow. Man, I'm going to be really pleased when it comes out then because I loved what I saw.
You're going to love it.
I know, right? Wow. Yeah, the different abilities that you have, the being able to freeze someone and then move them forward and have them get shot with their own laser bullet was amazing.
I did like that how every time that you would force slow down time or whatever, it would have that little jittery animation. I thought that was cool. I like that.
Yeah. So I'm really curious to see more. I don't want to see a lot more because 15 minutes is a lot for me. I don't like to see much more than that of a game. And
it was 15 minutes, 3 hours into the game.
Exactly. Yeah. So especially if you play the game and you're 23 hours in and I haven't gotten to that one part yet that I saw. So
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I thought it looked a lot of fun. And so I was just like, oh man, we're in for a good E3 if I'm stoked for a Star Wars game. And then after that was Apex Legends, and all my note says is I'll ask Gabe and Chris how it was because I assume it's cool stuff, but I don't know.
So I guess I'll kind of talk a little bit about this. It was the thing that I was looking the most forward to talking about at EA Play because I knew about Star Wars a little bit from Star Wars Celebration before. I definitely wanted to see that stuff, but I was more specifically wanting to learn about Season 2 on Apex Legends. They're going to come out with another legend. Her name is Watson. It's a lady. She sets up these little electrical... It's kind of like it makes an electrical fence when you put all these little posts down.
Yeah.
Her animations, oddly enough, look very Symmetra-like, the way that her hands move.
They did.
Which I don't particularly like. And she seems like right out the gate a little bit OP because she can put up like 12 of these fences. So she can completely rope off a complete area. So I feel like she's almost immediately going to get some kind of rework, if not before she even launches.
But do people get hurt for going through it, or it just alerts them that somebody broke the plane?
I think they get hurt because they were talking about how her teammates don't get hurt when they go through it.
And it's something like how whenever somebody throws an arc star and it stuns you, I believe that's what happens to you if you're trying to go through it. So you're just like a sitting duck going all slow and you can't see and you can't react, and they would just attack you. And then her ultimate,
gotcha.
It's something kind of like for anybody who played Call of Duty back in the day, kind of like a trophy system where it throws on the ground, it kind of like spins around or shoots up or faces up in the air, and it can block like if Gibraltar's throwing his airstrike or Bangarang or Bangalore, her official name. I call her Bangarang. If she throws her thing and the bombs are coming in, it will protect you underneath it, almost kind of like Homeboy's shield that he can put out, except you're not actually having to be inside of a shield. It seems like it could be really
Yeah.
cool. I think her character model looks pretty cool. In terms of season 2, they said that it's going to be more challenge based, kind of basically going straight the way that Fortnite's doing things, since everybody kind of gave them the feedback that we prefer this challenge based stuff. So it's going to be going that way. You should be able to go through it faster. There's way more skins involved in it. I believe you're going to be getting more of the Apex Legend, the loot box, their version of the loot box. I don't remember exactly what they call it. I know in the game we call them the tick, but I don't remember if that's what they call it when they drops. Just overall, it sounds like they really listened to a bunch of the feedback, and from what they say, I think the Battle Pass is going to be something that's way more intriguing, a lot more stuff in there that you'd actually want to have. One thing that they did make mention of specifically, because I've complained about this, throughout all the time that I've played the game, you just get very, very, very little of the in-game material that you can use to then craft something that you would want. He said everybody who plays this and completes the Battle Pass should have enough to craft at least one legendary item, which if you're not wanting any of the legendary items, like you can craft several different things because the legendary items are super expensive. So I thought, hey, I mean, that's still not the best, but that's way better than what it is right now. So I think that they'll continue to tweak things and have more avenues for earning the in-game currency so you can craft the things that you'd really like. Overall, I was happy with it. I'm one of the people who's really still super stoked on the game, so I'm a bit biased, but I do feel like they're making some good changes to Season 2, and it's around the corner. It starts July 2nd, I believe, so we'll pretty quickly here we'll be able to find out whether all these changes are going to be working for the better or not. They also did announce a new legendary weapon that's coming in. It's only going to be in care package because it's a gold weapon. It's called the L-Star.
And it's an AR, baby. Let's go. It's an AR.
Yeah, it's actually a light machine gun, and it can shoot doors down. It can shoot through. It's pulled straight from Titanfall 2, as I understand. Like the actual gun, that same gun, same name and everything was in Titanfall 2, which I didn't play Titanfall 2. So anybody who played that and has used that gun or heard that name, the L-Star, I believe, or L-Stat, one of those two, it's the exact same gun, and as I understand it, is used the exact same way and just as strong. And they even said, they're like, look, this gun, we made it to where it only drops in care packages because, quite frankly, the gun is very OP.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you can't pick up bullets for it. Like once you use it up, it's used up.
Yeah, the other legendary
cool.
guns that are in the game, the sniper rifle, the Kraber, and then the shotgun, which is the Mastiff, they're the same way. Where they come with however many rounds they have, and then that's it. You can't pick up any other rounds in the world. But they're really, really strong weapons, so it's kind of like a balancing feature. And I liked that too.
And that's the point. And that's the point, too, is that it's supposed to be OP. I thought it was even funny that he even mentioned that it was OP because I was like, well, the ones that drop out of the sky are supposed to be OP. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that this one's going to be up there with those.
To the difference that you were kind of mentioning earlier, like this is very much a spray and pray gun. The other two are single shots, it takes a little bit longer to do. So this one's even, I think, going to be stronger feeling than those. I bet the clip's going to be ridiculously small because of how strong it seems like it's going to be. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that was pretty cool. After that was Battlefield 5, and now I'm a little nervous to say I thought something looked good because I don't know if my judgment is that good.
Nice.
But
shut up.
Rose-colored glasses, Ed.
They introduced 4 new maps, and I was like, these look amazing. I wish I was into this game because these maps are beautiful.
Yeah.
There's a Greece map, Africa, and it's just one of those things that I feel like down the road I'm going to find Battlefield 5 on sale, and I'm going to be like, oh, that looked really good. I'm going to pick this up, and then be like, oh, that's right, I forgot. I don't like these games, but man, it made me want to play it. Sheesh.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, the Battlefield games, I feel like, especially the last several ones that they've had, I feel like have always looked really good. Battlefield 4 looked great. Battlefield 1 looked great. Battlefield 5 looks great. So I think that you're spot on in saying that they're very pretty looking.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I feel better. A little bit better now.
There you go.
After that, FIFA 20, and they focused a lot on street ball, which I didn't even know was a thing. Where they play in
really cool.
a big cage and that's one of the things that they did that deep dive on, and I was kind of glad they did. I actually enjoyed watching about this caged street ball, and it looked really, really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. They brought Rio Ferdinand, who's an ex-Manchester United defenseman. I used to watch him all the time. And they just did this whole thing about a lot of these now football stars grew up playing street ball. And I'm kind of glad they're doing that. I mean, I'm not a FIFA person at all, but I think it's cool that they're at least expanding in the sport a little bit to not just, professional competition. Now you can get into the street stuff. So it was really cool. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. After that, they did Madden NFL 20. And I kind of went into it thinking, oh, all right, Madden, here we go. I can tune out here. But the games might be like this already. I didn't realize that they had kind of like almost a skill tree and with abilities that you could unlock for the different players. And that I thought was really intriguing. It kind of reminded me of a Dead by Daylight skill tree that it has where you can choose skills and what have you. I thought that was pretty cool. I like that.
I think that's new.
Okay.
I'm not a Madden. Honestly, I don't really play any of the sports games. They don't really intrigue me that much. But my understanding is that is a new feature to Madden.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think it's always been there.
And you're okay to say that FIFA and Madden looked good. You can say that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you should.
After that, they had The Sims 4. They're going to the beach. That looks like a Sims game at the beach.
Sure does.
Did you, Ed? You used to be into Sims, right?
I used to really be into The Sims. Yeah, man. Gabe, I had you.
Me too.
I had you in that. We would scan our faces in. Yeah, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
I used to love the Sims games. I've fallen way off the Sims games because I feel like they should be on like 19 instead of just like adding on to the ones they have.
Yeah.
Like go ahead and put out Sims 8.
Yep.
Just jump to 8.
And I feel like a couple months ago when I still had EA All Access, I was like, you know what? I'm going to download The Sims and see. I used to play the heck out of it, and I played maybe 20 minutes, and I was like, yeah, I don't like this anymore.
I know, weird, right?
Yeah.
Me too.
So weird.
Mm-hmm.
I think my notes for The Sims was meh and moving on.
After that was the Xbox press conference, and I was really looking forward to seeing what they were going to do. They started off with a title I wasn't familiar with, but by the art style, at first I thought it was more Borderlands 3 footage, but it was a game called The Outer Worlds. Have you heard of this game before? Is this really okay? People seem to react like they'd heard it, but
yes. Mm-hmm.
Is that the Ninja Theory game?
No.
Oh, Outer Worlds. Yeah. I'm sorry. I missed that one. Yeah, I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, I remember seeing that and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Outer Worlds, finally. We're getting like the things to be able to look at. Because I feel like I had heard that name bouncing around. But I was with you, Ed. I didn't really know when they were showing it. I was like, oh, I wonder what this is. And of course, you start guessing things in your head. And I was like, oh, Outer Worlds. Okay, I feel like that was familiar.
Yeah.
As far as the name.
Right. After the Outer Worlds, they introduced the team from Ninja Theory, and they came out announcing their new the new IP they're working on called Bleeding Edge. It's a 4v4, and that one also kind of reminded me of Borderlands. Just again, the art style that looked kind of fun, and I couldn't help but notice that one of the characters' names was Nidhogger, and I didn't know if that was a nod to the game or if Nidhogg is something I just don't know what it is. But I thought that was interesting.
You know what's interesting? I feel like Overwatch has bled into all these little games that are coming out now.
Yes.
That was
there
my
were so
notes
many
too.
things about it that felt so Overwatchy. I was like, oh, that's cool. I just love that Overwatch has set a tone for people to copy or for people to, they say the best form of flattery is imitation. And so, not that they're ripping it right off, but I feel like as you see character development, and especially in shooter games, has come so far since Overwatch.
Yeah.
And Overwatch has played a huge part in how people do character development now in fighting games like that. So I thought that was really cool.
That was my note. I said, seems like an R-rated Overwatch, basically. Because it's a little more, it just feels a little more, not graphic, but I guess, maybe it is. But I picked up on that too, Gabe. I think that was interesting that Overwatch has its little feelers out and it's kind of impacting all these other people, which is really cool.
So as someone who last year, because it was last year when Microsoft announced they bought Ninja Theory, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So as someone who was super like, oh, that was like the highlight of my Microsoft E3 last year. It was like, oh, whatever Ninja Theory brings, I am super looking forward to that. I was crazy disappointed with this game.
Were you? Yeah.
I was like, man, this, like, I understand, and they said it themselves, and I have every reason to believe them, because I don't think this game could have been this far along, even to show this cinematic. If they had just started it after Microsoft bought them, I fully believe that, like they said, they'd been working on this game for a while, that this is what they want to do. This is their vision. And kudos to Microsoft for, giving them the freedom to be able to do that. I was like, I was looking forward to the story-based, really cool. It doesn't have to be Hellblade 2. It could be a totally different game, but I wanted the story narrative, something coming to the Microsoft side from Ninja Theory, who made Hellblade, that I really liked.
Yep.
And granted that we don't know much about this game. Once we see more and you actually see actual gameplay, I may fall in love with it. You never know. One thing that I wasn't too keen on is that if I remember right, they were saying that it's heavily or maybe completely melee based. So that's one deviation from Overwatch, whereas I've never been much for the melee type stuff. I'd much rather have weapons, which is kind of what draws me more into Overwatch. I don't think this one's also first person. I do think it's third person, so that could benefit to it if it's melee focused, which would be better. But I was just like, man, this is not what I was wanting Ninja Theory to bring to the table. And I understand this is the early days. This is the first we're seeing of it. So my mind could totally change down the road when I see more. But right now, I was bummed out. I was like, man, this is not the way Ninja Theory that I was hoping for anyways.
Yeah. One thing I really liked is the fact that it's one of, I think, 34 games they announced that'll be available on Game Pass day one. And so every time they announce these games available on Game Pass, I'm like, yeah, I'll try that. Yeah. So it was just kind of like that whole...
There's no good reason not to try it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Christmas again, I'm like, look at all of these games I'm going to get to play for the cost of Game Pass. I was just... It sold not only me, but I saw a lot of people say, well, I'm back on Xbox. I'm an Xbox gamer again.
Yeah.
Yep.
After that,
I love that.
They showed us Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I mean, it's on Game Pass. I'm going to play it, but
I said Ed can. I don't have any my note was Ed can rage quit that one.
Yeah,
it does. It looks beautiful, though. I must say,
I love the art style.
The art style is really cool looking. So good for them.
I didn't realize because I didn't watch it on our YouTube channel. I didn't help it be in the top 10 every week, but I didn't realize that Ori and the Blind Forest was so, or maybe the first one wasn't. I didn't know it was so like boss based. Like this thing showed a lot of bosses that it felt like you were fighting.
Yeah, they definitely have some bosses in there.
Is the first one like that? Oh, yeah. Okay, got you.
Yeah, it looked almost identical to the first one.
Wow.
But
the
so
art style's great,
it's on
but
Game
it
Pass.
just seems way too hard. It's like, nah, I'm not giving that a go.
yeah, it's a beautiful game.
And that was our first release date, February 11th, 2020. That's when that comes out. So that was the first one. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, and Ninja Theory, Bleeding Edge, that comes out June 27th.
Oh, that's right. There you go.
So yeah, it's kind of cool to see so many dates. A lot of them were 2020s, but it was good to get a lot of dates this year, which was nice.
Yes,
we got a few, like this next one, Minecraft Creators. We got a season, spring 2020, which
next.
is like Minecraft. You can create your own dungeons, 4-player local co-op. I don't know if Minecraft has that already. I have no idea, but that was there.
I thought it actually looked good. It was the first thing from the Minecraft name that I was like, okay, Minecraft RPG-ish type thing.
Yeah.
I was like, that could be interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, I probably won't play. I probably won't play it, but it's still like.
But it's available.
Like my ears turned up.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I like that. I like that they took it in that way, and I think that people will have, so much fun creating. The one thing that I have to respect from Minecraft is seeing how much stuff people have created, and so I think that as much as I think game developers are brilliant for the things they come up with, there's nothing like content created by the communities, and I think that sometimes those things can be better than the original thing that came out. So excited to see that.
I just think it's nice to hear that there's a Minecraft game that one of us is interested in. So
there
I feel like we're growing a little bit.
Hey, just a little.
Stretching out.
Baby steps.
My notes just said next. I totally tuned out on that. I was like,
Well, after that, Phil Spencer came out and just kind of let us know that this year they have the largest showcase of games anywhere this year. 60 games, 14 from Xbox Game Studios, over 30 premiering on Game Pass. And after that, they went into some Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order footage, which I still thought looked amazing. And then after that, they went into they kind of shift gears and went into a game that Gabe is going to play, I'm sure. A little scary game.
At least,
you know what's funny?
He's going to play that twice.
When I was watching it, I was like, man, this feels like Blair Witch.
I did the same thing. That little shot where Homeboy's in the corner, I was like, oh, that's Blair Witch.
Yeah.
The video camera, too. I was like, ooh, this could be Blair Witch.
The whole video camera thing made me think Outlast. But then when I saw that corner thing, I was like, oh, that's Blair Witch-ish.
Right when the video camera came up, I was like, yeah, I'm not playing this.
You were done. You were done.
I didn't care what it was. I didn't care what it was. I was like, as soon as that video camera showed, I was like, they better say Final Fantasy VII if they want me to play this one. Ain't no way I'm playing this game.
I'm not about to collect some batteries for this thing.
No, sir.
No batteries for you.
Yeah, they showed that guy standing in the corner, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's Blair Witch. I was so stoked. I am so playing that game.
Yeah, that looks really good, actually.
Oh. And then...
You got it, Doc.
I will take it. Yeah. And then after that, CD Projekt Red came out, and last year when they showed Cyberpunk, I was like, that looks pretty cool. And this year, holy
Ooh,
moly, I want to play this game.
I can't wait to play that and not make it to Skellige.
That's right, man. You ain't making it to Skellige at all.
I can't. That game looks so doggone good. I was like, I'm playing this.
Oh my gosh! And then
here's the thing, though. What I thought was interesting about them showing the trailer was that they bleeped all the curse words.
Yeah.
And I actually, number one, I appreciated that because it felt like somebody said, like, hey, kids are watching these press conferences, right?
Yep.
And so it seemed like they were trying to do the quote unquote responsible thing. And I was like, man, I wonder if they will give you the option to bleep curse words like that. Because I actually wouldn't mind playing like that.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right.
there you go.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I want to hear them all.
I know.
But I mean, was it really better to bleep all those curse words and then show all of the bloody, gory violence?
I know. Right?
I mean, it's like, well, you're gonna go there anyways.
I feel like I just feel like if you're watching it and like I watch the press conferences by myself and the kids run around. Mm-hmm. So like if the kids aren't really watching, but the F words are still getting thrown around, then it feels like, dang it.
Yeah.
So I just for me, I felt like they were doing the responsible thing because they know that such a wide range of people are watching it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is just for me. Maybe it's just the parent in me coming out.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. It's totally legit.
And I can't remember the last time I was that happy to see Keanu. That was so cool.
I love the way they did that. It blew everybody's minds too. That was my favorite surprise of all the press conferences was just him just coming out.
He was so comfortable in his own skin and like coming out there and talking and going off script like I got to finish this, and he came across so likable. We all knew, maybe we don't all know, but I feel like watching Keanu over the last couple of years, he just feels like a regular guy. Like he's going to take the subway and he's going to ride his bike, and he's not like this super mega star, which he is a super mega star, but he didn't really act that way.
Yeah.
And I just felt like he was so endearing when he came out, and it kind of stole E3 for me, kind of the same way that Homeboy from Bethesda did last year. How I fell in love with whatever his name was. I forget his name, but I when Keanu came out and did that little bit, I was like, that was awesome. I loved that.
Yeah. It was funny too because Sarah even said, she's like, why does he sound so different? And I'm like, because he's not talking in his movie voice.
He's not just Point Break anymore.
Right. He's just talking in his regular voice.
I am an FBI agent. Yeah, exactly. And he was super chill. I just loved at like the trailer ends and boom, there's Keanu, and then Keanu comes out, and you saw like everybody was bowing in the front row. I don't know if you saw that, but the place went absolutely nuts, and you can feel it. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. That's like that's up there with like a Last of Us moment almost. It was great.
What perfect timing too, with like John Wick 3 out.
Yep.
Just kind of all the buzz behind that, and people are loving that movie.
Yep.
I mean, they played their hand perfect on that.
Yeah,
that was a home run.
That's one of the things that I love. Like, kudos for not leaking that, because that would have just deflated that whole moment right there. I'm so glad that didn't get leaked, because
Yep.
it was great the way
That's
it was
right.
meant to be. It was so well done. After that, they showed a little game, a little 2D animated game with a little pirate guy and some animals called Spiritfarer. And then after that was a game that I had heard of before, Battletoads, which I feel like people have been always
Yeah, you've heard
asking
of that
for
before.
a Battletoads game again. There's always like a group of people that want more Battletoads, and they seem to be very happy about that.
Yes.
And it's 3-player couch co-op too, Ed. So that could be a nice thing for the Tapmans when that comes out.
Yeah, I thought it was odd that it was 3-player and not 2 or 4. It was that was funny.
3 Battletoads, baby.
Is that
3
it?
Battletoads.
I guess I'm thinking of the Ninja Turtles. Yeah. I've never played Battletoads.
Yes,
so.
there's 4 of them. I think that's why Battletoads from the beginning has always been 3, because they kind of were the anti Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as far as
Okay,
video
right.
games back in the day.
Right.
And so, and I liked, at first I was like, okay, are they showing it cartoony? And then are they going to switch to a more high res, something that we're used to? But I think I was glad that it stayed cartoony, the gameplay at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it looked good.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah.
Rash and
people
zits
seem to be
in
happy.
them.
After that was a game called Legend of Right, which looked like it was like a cardboard cutout note in someone's school notebook. It was a really cool art style. I really liked it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't really figure out if it's something I'd want to play or not. But I
It's like
really
an
liked the
interactive
way it
coloring
looked.
book.
Yeah. It was kind of like a pop-up book, and
Yeah, that was really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really well done. It was very clever, I thought, just the way that it was all presented. They had a little presentation for ID at Xbox. They revealed,
Mishmash.
yeah, kind of a little bit of everything. They revealed that Batman Arkham Knight, Metro Exodus, Hollow Knight, and the Borderlands Handsome Collection are all available on Game Pass that day. So that was a fun little surprise. And then they talked about their open beta for Game Pass on PC, which had kind of hit the press. Was it that day? Was it a couple days before? So it wasn't as much of an
A
announcement.
couple days before, I felt like, yeah.
And they just talked about the Game Pass Ultimate, which includes Game Pass Gold and Game Pass for PC in
Which
one
we did
bundle.
not know about the last time we spoke about it.
Yes, and we had wondered about that, what they were going to do
Yeah.
with that. And so yeah, that was kind of cool. People seemed to be happy about that. It was, if you signed up that day, it was $1. I don't know if that's. I think that's still going on, but I don't know how long
Dude,
that's
it's
going to
some
last.
crazy deal to where
Yeah.
I don't know all the complete inner workings of how it goes, because I don't. My Xbox Live is out and my Xbox Game Pass ended this month, but it's something crazy where, like, if you had up to 3 years worth of gold already set, you do this and now you have Game Pass for that entire time. You buy Ultimate and now you have it. It's just bundles it all together for the entire time or something. There's some crazy deal where you can get like 2 years or so many years worth of Game Pass for $1 or something weird. And like they've officially like said, this is how you do this to make it happen. It's not like some weird gimmick, as I understand it. I don't.
Yeah.
We need to figure that out. I need to Google that.
It's on the
Right.
Discord, I believe. So,
Yeah,
and I can
Okay.
send you a
I'll
link
do
to
that.
the article that I had found about it. I don't have
Yeah.
either, so
Please
I was
do.
like, well, it's not going to help me, but good on all these people that are getting a great deal out of it.
right. Exactly. Yeah, I thought that was awesome that people could do that. That was really cool.
Do you already have to have Xbox Live and all that going? Is that what you're saying, Chris?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, please send me the link because I got mine up
Right.
and cooking.
After that, they showed us Flight Simulator, which I'd heard of that game before. I've never played it. So that's there. Age of
That's exactly what I said too. That's there. All right, that's a thing.
Age of Empires 2, the definitive edition. For those who are into that, I don't know anything. I don't play the game. I don't know anything about it. They introduced a game called Wasteland 2. That all I remember is that it had a drunk miner talking about Colorado, and I remember him, the cartoon guy, talking about Colorado more than I do the actual game itself. I don't remember what the game was.
Nice.
And then the head of Xbox Game Studios, who I'm sure never had his name made fun of, Matt Booty,
No.
came in.
Never.
And announced that Xbox Studios grabbed up Double Fine, and people were stoked about that.
So
Yeah,
here's
yeah,
the
they
question
really were.
for me: is Double Fine gonna be like Mojang, where the next Psychonauts and all this stuff is gonna be a multi-plat game?
I don't know.
They didn't
That's a
mention that
great
there because I
question. Yeah.
believe that had already been announced for like PS4 as well as Xbox One and other things too. So at the very least, I would assume that one's still going to be that way. But that kind of intrigued me because Double Fine's made a lot of games that, for whatever the reason, have kind of been, in at least mindshare wise, associated with PlayStation in some degree. So when they announced that they had grabbed Double Fine, I was like, one, I didn't think Double Fine was ever going to sell. I figured they'd be one of the ones that would always want to stay independent, but good for them for, securing everything and fine. I've got no beef with it. But it shocked me, but then my head immediately went to, so does that mean the next Psychonauts that they had kind of been talking about and they showed a lot of here, is that now a Windows / Xbox only game? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
question.
we're definitely going to see growing Microsoft games, and we're not going to see so much Xbox games, PC games. They're probably going to start just falling under Microsoft as a whole, right?
No, I think everything's going to fall under Xbox. They're
Xbox
positioning
games.
No, but I
everything
mean,
to where
I'm sorry. I used the wrong name, but I mean to where it's not going to be so broken out as console and computer, but just Xbox. I was using the word Microsoft, but Xbox period, and you just get to play them both. And it's going to be,
that's
they're
their
going to call
intent.
that. Yeah, but I'm saying, and they're going to call that the exclusive instead of, that's going to become
Right.
where we usually look at things as multi-platformed as, it's on console and it's on PC, where they're going to start calling their exclusives to be on both.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Next one's all you, man.
Yeah, man. After that, they came out and said, hey, guess what? Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. All 9 films.
Yeah.
2020.
That's
I'm
right.
there. I can't wait to play that.
That looks so good.
It looks so much fun. And
They're really funny too. I enjoyed their little
Yeah.
presentation. It's really really smart humor too.
Yeah. So they always have a good time. And man, just every game that comes out, every Lego game that comes out, the Legos still look like Legos, but the environments are just looking more and more realistic. It's crazy that it's a Lego game.
They
that they're
really
running
are.
around on.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z coming out in early 2020. I can't read what I wrote here. Kakarot.
Kakarot.
Kakarot. Okay.
Kakarot.
Cackle. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what that word is. And then after that,
Oh my gosh.
after that is another game that I have starred next to, which I starred the ones I was really interested in. It's a game called 12 Minutes from
Game of the show.
Annapurna. And Chris, I know you love that one.
Yes.
Really
And it did
cool.
specifically
Really great
mention
idea.
on it Xbox and PC on it. So I don't think that, or if it is going to ever come to anything else like Switch and PlayStation or whatever, and maybe way down the road, because it's not a Microsoft Studios game, but this game looked super interesting to me.
Yeah,
It was,
kind of like a top view if
Yes.
Groundhog Day was
Really
a
cool.
horror film almost.
yeah,
Exactly.
you're in a
Yep.
time loop and you got to figure your way out of it, I guess. I was
Yeah,
super
that's-
interested. I was hooked right away on this.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was really interesting.
After that was Way to the Woods. It's a game that there's a deer and a fawn running around in the city. And
Glowing antlers.
with glowing antlers, and I was
Very
still,
Journey-esque, don't you think?
yeah. I was still thinking about 12 minutes while that was on. So
Right. Exactly.
And they showed that game last year as well.
Did they really?
A lot of these
Okay.
got at least some type of play last year. Also, they maybe just got some more information. 12 Minutes was not. 12 Minutes was a first time I had
Right.
ever heard of it.
Yeah.
And then, several other ones like Bleeding Edge and whatnot.
yeah. Bound by Blood 5 was after that. I'd never heard of that game, and I just remember that it had a girl with a bunch of different heads or personalities coming out of her, and kind of a really weird, I don't know what, a head game kind of a animation going on. It looked interesting, but I didn't really, because I wasn't familiar with the title, I didn't know what to expect or what it might have been about.
That's actually part of Gears 5.
No, yeah, that's the
That's the trailer.
Gears
It's kinda like
5.
the-
That's
Bound
the
by
name of
Blood
Gears 5.
was?
Yeah, Bound by
Oh,
yeah.
really?
It was just a trailer because I saw some of the characters from Gears like come out. So
Okay.
it's clearly like an inner struggle kind of a thing, and that was kind of the trailer to set up Gears 5.
Okay, I didn't even connect that because I just have Gears 5 after that.
And they built a freaking hive below the stage. How incredible was that? I was
Dude.
like, no way. But like, I
That
thought
was
they were going to
cool.
do so much more with it, but it's just like, they just did it, I think, really for just massive, not Mass Effect, but massive effect. So that you could go down. It was the camera was shot really cool.
Yeah.
And then they go into kind of the gameplay style of it. So
Yeah.
I thought that was neat.
Yeah, they've got a lot on their plate coming out for that game. They've got horde modes and they've got tech tests coming in July and 3-player couch co-op again, 3-player, and then they ended that up with a little Terminator action. So I don't know how that's going to play into it, but I was stoked for Gears to begin with, and then to see the Terminator.
This is another one that was a little just from a show standpoint.
Yes,
Head scratchy for me because this game comes out like in September, and I don't think
September
we've ever
10th.
seen any campaign gameplay of this game ever. The only
Yeah.
little bit we saw, I think we saw a little bit of whatever this horde mode-ish thing's going to be maybe last year.
Do you think they embargoed it until after E3?
I mean, this is one of their big heavy hitters, franchises.
Oh, I think it's the heavy hitter for the
It's
fall.
about to come out, and nobody's seen anything outside of cinematics. That just seems a little worrying to me. I mean, we saw last year gameplay. Granted, it could have been a vertical slice, but we saw gameplay of Ghost of Tsushima, and we don't even know when that game's coming. It just
Right.
seems a little worrisome to me. If I were a Gears fan, I'd be like, yeah, story-wise, and this weird, all these heads coming out of her and everything, I'm cool with all this trippy stuff, but let's see some, which if they're going to have tech demos in July, I mean, we'll find out then. But I just thought that was a little strange that we still haven't
Yeah, it
seen
seems like
anything
they're
gameplay-wise.
I didn't
Yeah,
think
it
about
seems like
that.
they're
yeah.
hyping this story more than they're actually hyping any type of the gameplay. So maybe they're just setting it up. But
And
you never know.
At this point, like I feel Gears, to some extent, Gears is kind of a known commodity. So maybe that's what they're relying on. Like, hey, everybody knows what Gears
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So
Gonna
maybe
bank
they
on
don't
the name.
feel it's important,
Yeah,
But
yeah. After that, they brought out, or they didn't bring out, but they talked about the Xbox Elite controller. I'm not really, as I was watching that, I'm like, I feel like there are too many button combinations as there are. I can't wrap my head around having more to
Oh,
push.
right. It started breaking into hives.
But it looked. It was another case of I wished I was because it looked.
does
really
it have
sweet.
more buttons than the current Elite and the current Xbox controller?
That I don't know if it has more than the current Elite. They didn't really say specifically, and I don't know the Elite well enough to know how many it has.
Okay.
But it did have a thing, a little dial that you can, 1, 2, and 3, and like 1 is my settings for Apex, 2 is my settings for I almost said Uncharted.
There you go. Nice.
And I don't know if that was new or not, but they seemed to focus on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it looked really cool. I've always really thought that the Elite controller was a good idea. I really wish Sony would have done something like that. Even though, had they done it, I probably would not buy it either, just like I didn't buy the Elite controller, because to me, I don't want to be so reliant on all the bells and whistles features. I think they're awesome. I understand what they're, and I've used controllers like that before, and they make a huge difference. They really are.
I bet they do.
Like, especially for Overwatch, man, you could do so many different things with that
Oh,
controller.
man.
And I don't feel like it would really be, I feel like, Ed, if you, like, let's say someone gifted you one or something, you got one at Christmas, I bet you would take to it way quicker than you realize that you would.
Yeah.
I hate the idea that, like, if I go over to a friend's house and it's like, I can't play this game now because I'm used to having my 4 other paddles and I just can't.
Right.
I've always just, even though that rarely happens, in my head, it's always like, I don't want to hinder myself to have to use this controller, otherwise I can't do it.
Right.
That's the only
good
reason I've
Chris,
never
I'm
bought
the
into one of
exact
those.
same way. That's the one thing that's always worried me is like I don't want to get just so reliant on something. It's kind of almost like using GPS. Like I'd rather somebody tell me the directions and me like watch myself drive there than GPS everywhere and not really know how to get anywhere because I've been told turn by turn how to get there. If
Right.
that makes any sense?
No,
Right.
it makes perfect sense, man. Yep.
The one other thing, and the one of the other things I really admired about the Elite controller, the first one that came out, and then the second one, I just love that it's straight from the manufacturer, because there's plenty of options out there. Like there's Scuff, and there's there's Astros making that C40 for the PlayStation one, which I think is the best one on their system that you could get that is officially licensed. It just always they're so expensive. And especially like back in the day, like in the PS3 days, the Scuff was really the only game in town, or the best game in town. But I just feel like they weren't super reliable. And it's like, well, I can be hard on controllers. And I don't mean like throwing them around or anything, because I'm not hitting them on things. But it's like, I wear those sticks out fast. And it's like, man, do I really want to do that to a $300 controller? Which I know the Elite's cheaper than that, or at least the original one was. I think it was $150. But still, it's just, all those two things combined have always made me steer away, even though I think they're super cool.
Right. Yeah. After that, they showed some footage of Dying Light 2 coming spring 2020. I've never played Dying Light, but this almost looks, to me, exactly like what I've seen of Dying Light.
Yes.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Nope, it's a parkour style zombie game, and my buddy played the first one and loved it. So I think it's a lot more of that. So it should be pretty. Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
I don't remember which conference it was, but I remember us seeing a bunch of stuff about Dying Light 2 or whatever it is last E3 as well. So it was okay. That may be kind of where your memory's jogging from as well.
Right. Next up is the game I'm playing tomorrow, the Lego expansion in Forza Horizon 4. I can't wait to hop into that. It's funny because they did the thing that Forza does a lot, and they, Forza Horizon, and then they'll wheel the car out, and I'm like, every year they wheel a car out. I'm not into cars. Who cares about the car? And then they zoomed in, and it was entirely made of Legos.
Lego car.
I was like, I love that car.
It's amazing.
Yeah, all of a sudden.
Yes.
You'll get 7 miles per gallon because of air drag, but besides that,
exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
They also focused on State of Decay 2 Heartland, and then a game I'd never heard of, but a lot of people have been listing that as their highlight of E3, Phantasy Star Online 2. I don't know anything about this game.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Phantasy Star either.
Online action with crossplay. That's all I wrote, and it's
Sega RPG,
Japanese. Yep,
all free to play. Crossfire X was after that from Smilegate, coming out in 2020, and then from Bandai Namco was Tales of Arise, and all I have written is guys dressed for battle, girls dressed for cleavage. Which I feel is every anime game that's out there.
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Pretty much.
Borderlands 3 was up next, and they announced that you can download the Lilith Adventure for free if you've got the Handsome Collection, I believe it was.
Yes.
So I went ahead and downloaded that. I haven't played it yet, but that was really cool to see. And then they introduced Elden Ring, which is by George R.R. Martin, has a hand in that, the guy behind Game of Thrones, which got leaked a little early, so it kind of took a little bit of the George R.R. Martin out of it. But it wasn't something that it looked like Thor almost to me at first, kind of a, I guess, George R.R. Martin type of a theme.
Yeah, and you're. Maybe I didn't hear you mention it, but the other big half of it is it's a From Software game. It's being developed
I don't know what that is.
From Software is the people who made Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro. So it has a little Lord of the Ringsy vibe to me, and the fact that it has a ring in the name and the guy was hitting on an anvil. I don't know what it is. All we got was the cinematic thing. I'm super intrigued to see what it is because I'm a at least loosely based fan of From Software games. Sekiro is kicking the crap out of me, so I'm not doing that great with that. But I really liked Bloodborne, and I totally respect the games. So I'm super interested to see what it's going to actually be, the actual game. But and then you put those two names together, it's like, wow, that's a heck of a combination. Where's this going to lead to?
Exactly. Phil Spencer came out after that and talked about Project xCloud, console streaming. He called it. He described it as a personal and free server. He used the phrase "play your games wherever you go." And so that was
it turns your Xbox One into an xCloud server.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of technical speak that sounded really cool, but it was hard for me to follow. So my notes in this section are really, really bad.
So,
Yes.
my understanding, I like to say that because I may have some facts wrong. The
Okay.
whole where he touched on your Xbox One can be turned into your own personal xCloud server. And he said, and that streaming from that is going to be free. He's saying Xbox Game or Xbox Remote Play. That's what that is.
Okay.
So
okay.
like if you have a PC now, what we don't know at the moment is it like for the PlayStation side, you have it on iOS at the moment, and you have it on Windows PC and Mac. It's done through an application. Like you have to download an app and then you can access Remote Play and you can play on any of those devices wherever you are in the world. Connect to through the internet to your PlayStation. What we don't know about this whole xCloud one or the version that's going to happen with your own personal server via xCloud. We don't know if it's going to be browser based, kind of like Stadia is. We don't know if it's going to be an application you have to download on whichever of these devices supposedly are going to be supported. We also don't know exactly which ones are going to be supported. We do know phones and stuff are going to be part of xCloud stuff. Not sure if it's going to be part of this. I'm using the term Remote Play. They didn't use that term, obviously, but that's what it is. Because he made a big point of saying that one's going to be free. That's the reason that it's free, is because it's a version of Remote Play. And then the xCloud thing, they didn't have a ton of information on that. They did have some hands-on demo area stuff there. That is going to be a subscription service, but they've just not really talked about any of the structure of it. They've not talked about any of the pricing of it. All that stuff is later to come. But that's the difference between what the xCloud and the whole your Xbox One is kind of like your personal xCloud server. That part in particular, they're basically just their version of Remote Play.
Okay.
So that was the digging that I found when I looked around into it.
Yeah. He mentioned that this new console is 4 times more powerful than the One X, 120 frames per second, 8K, holiday 2020. Chris,
Wow.
Were you excited about those? I know when it comes to FPS, I
insane.
automatically think of you, Chris, because I know you really understand.
Yeah, I do too.
So the key takeaways that I took from that information that they did in that little video documentary that they did kind of on the Project Scarlet, as they mentioned it. I feel like next generation is going to start the same way that this one did, where both of the boxes have basically the same stuff in them, because pretty much everything that they said is the same kind of stuff that Sony said before. There were a few areas where Sony said some specific things that Microsoft didn't, and vice versa. Like, for instance, I don't believe, if I remember correctly, that Sony ever mentioned what type of RAM they're going to have in theirs, whereas Microsoft specifically said, we will have GDDR6.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they also mentioned the one thing that I thought was going to be kind of like the Sony gotcha. So like this generation, when it started, the systems, they both had 8-core systems. They were from AMD. They both had the same amount of RAM. The difference was that Sony's was all unified RAM, and they were running GDDR5, whereas Microsoft was sticking with the older version of DDR3, if I remember right, and they had that little bitty buffer of ES RAM that was attached to the system. Those were the two things that were different. Outside of that, they were almost the same boxes. And it turned out that GDDR5, along with a little bit higher clock speed, if I remember right, on the CPU, kind of gave PlayStation the edge on being slightly more powerful than the original Xbox One. Obviously, midway through the way, that all changed when the Xbox One X came out and had way more stuff and was a lot stronger than even the PS4 Pro. So I think based on these that we know, I think they're going to be almost the exact same. And there's probably going to be something in each one that's a little bit of a differentiator, and one of them will likely eke out a little bit ahead of the other one. But I don't think we're going to be seeing a repeat of the mid-generation refresh where, one console is like head and shoulders above the other one in terms of power.
Right.
I think we're going to start
They're
out
all
right
going to
again.
have SSD now too. And
Which I honestly thought that was going to be Sony's kind of gotcha, was going to be like, because they made it sound like they were partnering with AMD and custom designing this SSD themselves.
Right.
Microsoft said the exact same thing about theirs. So either they're both, when they say these terms, like all this stuff's so ambiguous that they could indeed each be designing their own with AMD, and it's just like, put this screw on that side instead, and we're gonna put our screw over here. So technically, they had a hand in creating it with them, but they may almost be the exact same thing.
Yeah,
we're just gonna have to find out, next year when these consoles both finally drop. But it said to me like, hey, They're both going to be pretty much the same. So we're going to start the generation on relatively even footing in terms of power and processing for the most part.
I was just going to say, does anybody need 120 frames per second?
So here's the deal with that. The 8K and the 120 frames per second, to me, those are not going to be things that you're going to see done. I mean, you may, especially towards the end of the generation. What that says to me is that what is the, well, okay, let me back up. One of the main things that a lot of people this generation that care about the tech side have said that they really wanted, and it was actually promised from the beginning, especially heavily on the Sony side, was 1080p, 60 frames per second. And it did not turn out to be a thing. Now, there are very few games even now that'll hit 4K 60 frames per second on the mid-gen refresh ones. You have more of them on the Xbox One side, but there's not every game like that's able to do it. So to me, what this is guaranteeing with that language is that, hey, in the perfect ideal scenarios, we can hit these resolutions and we can hit these frame rates. But that's not counting like a Witcher 3-esque, like huge open world kind of crazy game with all these crazy systems and 8 million NPCs. So what that's going to mean is that downscales down. We should, at the very minimum, be able to get 1080p 60 for virtually every single game. But on top of that, we'll definitely have 4K 30. And I'm hoping that this means 4K 60 will be ubiquitous as well. That's my hope and what I read into that language.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think you nailed it.
And it still comes down to the games.
I know.
I agree. Absolutely,
how
man.
powerful either of these things
so
are.
does that? Well, then,
but
if
it's
that's
good to
the
know
case,
for sure.
If that's the case, then it sounds like they are future-proofing. At least the Microsoft Game Studio games, they are future-proofing to make sure that these games can deliver these specs moving forward in come holiday 2020.
Yeah.
To me, that sounds like that's what they're going for, and rightfully so. I mean, they've got they're buying more studios now, and they have this technology that's coming out next year. They have time now to get their games up to par with the frame rates and resolutions that they're looking for.
Yeah, I don't think that you may see outside of one or two really low key, aren't really requiring a ton of stuff games that will ever come out at 8K resolution on these boxes.
Right.
And you may have a few that hit 120 frames, especially if they're capping themselves at like 1080p, but there's very few televisions right now. People are going to have to buy new screens in order to be able to do that. And they're definitely going to have to buy new screens if they want to see anything in 8K. So to me, to kind of give an analogy in the video world, like there's a lot of cameras out there that will shoot in 5K, 6K, 7K, even up to 8K. It's all just because they shoot it in that high resolution so that then when they process it down, it's a super clean image down at 4K or even down at 2K or 1080p. I mean, so to me, that's the way that I look at it. It's like, yes, you can hit this big number, but when you have all the stuff going on, you're not going to be able to hit that. So you're using this to be able to smoothly and in a pristine way downscale it to the more acceptable 4K or 1080p still for some people.
Yeah.
So that's how I read into it.
And speaking of games, after he mentioned all the new console, he said that it'll be launching with Halo Infinite, and Matt Leidy's head exploded somewhere.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
You know where Matt Leidy's head exploded?
On the boat.
Right next to you,
right
brother.
on all of the
on this boat, baby.
Right there.
It was great to see. I got to see the Leidies for a little bit. I think it was the first day, maybe the second day. It was so great to see like just a friendly face that didn't want anything.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was like, oh, hi, Leidies. Hi. Me and Jenny went up there and talked to him for a little bit. So great to see those guys. They were just nice people.
That's
Such
awesome.
nice people.
That's awesome.
Yep, they're good people.
Bethesda had their conference next, and they started off by saying that everything coming this year is free, which I thought was a great way to start things off.
I know that's right.
They began with Elder Scrolls Blades, a new Dragon Quest line out that night on the Switch.
Ayo.
And then
also, I did want to say, so Todd Howard came out before, and he's the guy you were thinking of, Gabe, before from last year's press conference. And I honestly, I really liked, like, he totally admitted problems with Fallout 76 when he was talking about it. And he said, but look, and he praised the community. It's kind of funny. I felt like it's like, yeah, that's what we say about our community all the time. Like, he was praising this community for, giving them all the feedback. They listened, and they're like, look, we totally admit there were problems with Fallout 76, and because of you guys and your input, we're able to turn this around. So he definitely gave a huge nod to that community, which I thought was really, really cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really neat of him just to say that, well-deserved criticism and just kind of like, kind of accept everything that happened. Yeah.
And I like that they're giving you transparency here. They're like, yeah, dude, we totally screwed up. So I love that.
Yeah, so after they mentioned Elder Scrolls, he talked about the Fallout 76 Wastelanders expansion with human NPCs that people in the crowd really, really were excited about. I'm not a 76 player, so I'm not sure why that was a big deal. He mentioned the free trial going on until the 17th of June. So if you hear this before then, you can try it out for free. There's a new game mode, Nuclear Winter, a 52-player battle royale that also has not only other people, but also the Fallout monsters running around as well. So
there you go.
Yeah, get on that. After that was a really interesting game. I was really curious. It almost looked like the rapture had happened. Ghostwire Tokyo, where people are disappearing and you're trying to figure out why. And it just visually, this game looked incredible, and the story seems super, super intriguing. I can't wait to hear more about this one. Yeah.
What was the name of it again?
Ghostwire Tokyo. That was a star in mine. Yeah, it looked really, really good. Shinji Mikami from Tango. This is a Tango game. So I started that. I'm like, this looks kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that one. I can't wait to get my hands on that one. Elder Scrolls Online was up next. They talked about having more server capacity. I just wrote dragons and buff skeletons and cat people. They had a skeleton in there that somehow looked muscular and beefy.
Cat people. Exactly.
Elsewhere. There's only one vowel in that word. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Elsewhere, Dragonhold, Scalebreaker. Those were the three, I guess, expansions.
Exactly. They talked about Commander Keen was up next, kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon feel, a mobile game for iOS and Android coming summer 2019. They said it was based off of an existing title. I wasn't familiar with Commander Keen. I sound like a broken record, but people seem to be excited about that one as well. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Commander Keen.
No, I hadn't.
Nope.
Let's say Elders.
No, that's a no for me.
That's a no for you. They talked about Rage 2, another expansion, Rise of the Ghosts. And they mentioned, which is funny because I've seen these on the PlayStation Store for I don't know how long now, Wolfenstein, Cyberpilot VR, and then Youngblood, which they say bigger than any other game by yourself or co-op that you can play that. That comes out July 26th, 2019. And I love the fact that that game, that 12 minutes, kind of had that time loop thing. There's a game called Death Loop, which which looked really cool. Two people stuck in Groundhog Day trying to kill each other, and it's another game. I want to know more about that. That looked really interesting.
And this is from Arcane Studios, Arcane Lyon. So this was kind of their little baby, and I was when Arcane logo came up, I'm like, ooh, let's see what we got, and it definitely looks very interesting.
They talked about id Software talked about Orion, which is for game streaming tech, streaming Doom for free. Slayers basically sounded like a way to make Stadia work, is what it sounded like to me as someone who didn't know much about tech.
Yeah.
And then their last thing they talked about was Doom Eternal. They've got a battle mode coming. You're going to find out more at DoomCon, and Doom Eternal is out November 22nd, 2019. Devolver Digital was next. That was weird. That really weird.
I missed all of that.
What was? I missed it. What was weird about?
It was a pre-recorded presentation, and
okay.
I didn't even realize until afterwards that everybody I'm so and so, the studio head, blah blah blah. Everybody they were all actors playing the studio heads. At the end, it had like a cast listing, And
really?
By the end, they were all like covered in blood and people were exploding, and it was super
What
weird.
in the world?
It was so weird. And it went, psychedelic at some part, and as if the studio head was a I don't know what just a really weird presentation. So yeah, it was a lot of titles that not a lot that really grabbed me personally. The first one, Fall Guys, looked a lot like the marbles games that people play on Twitch a lot. I thought that looked kind of fun. But the rest of them were a lot of really equally out there. My Friend Pedro and The Messenger. I would just say, check out, go on YouTube and watch the Devolver Digital, or they called it the Devolver Direct. That's going to be, I can't explain what happened there. After that,
fair enough. Moving on.
Awesome. Ubisoft was up, and they opened up with the Assassin's Creed Symphony, which was really a commercial for their worldwide tour. It was not a hint that we were going to see anything about Assassin's Creed because we did not.
So wanted. Oh, it was kind of like, oh, really? No? Okay, well, I guess next year then. So
yeah, I was kind of bummed.
It was a little. Yeah, I was very bummed.
Yeah, so that Symphony played way too long, considering they didn't talk about Assassin's Creed at all.
Exactly.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But we went into some gameplay of Watch Dogs Legion. It was alpha footage, comes out March 6th, 2020. And I mean, I'm going to play this game regardless because I love Watch Dogs. And this, I didn't realize, I guess it had leaked. I didn't hear it. I'm glad I didn't. That there is permadeath in this game. You can, Watch Dogs. One of the great things about it is that you can scan people in the streets and find out info on them or steal their money. And now anyone you see on the street, you can recruit and play as them. And that just blew my mind.
Wow, that's cool.
And people were talking afterwards about, we had heard about that in the leak. And I'm like, that's why I don't read leaks, because I wanted to be surprised when I watched the E3 thing.
Yeah, it got leaky, boy, on that one.
Yeah, it really did. And man, that game looks fun. It looks nice. It looks good. It takes place in London. I don't know about you guys. Were any of you attracted by it?
Absolutely. I need to do Watch Dogs 2 so I can get caught up with Watch Dogs Legion. Yeah, I loved it. I thought the voice acting was really good, and the fact that some of your mates they die and then you have to move on to somebody else. Like I know in the gameplay they were looking for a drone engineer to help with the these government style drones that are kind of just monitoring everything that you do. So I love it. It's futuristic. It's really cool. There's a resistance. Like it's Watch Dogs to the T, and it's just set in London. So this could be really, really cool.
From there, it kind of turned into the Tom Clancy presser. We got Rainbow Six Siege. We got Ghost Recon Breakpoint with John Bernthal. Elite Squad with a bunch of different Tom Clancy characters you could play as. I have enjoyed the Tom Clancy games I've played. I enjoyed my time with Ghost Recon and The Division, but I've never finished one all the way through. So they're kind of the games that if I don't,
interesting.
If I step away for more than a week, I never get that draw back. The Tim, I wasn't able to watch it live, but Tim was able to let me know that, hey, Just Dance 2020 is here on stage.
Yep.
So.
they did their little dance thing, and it was exactly what you think it is. I'm like, here it is, Ed, just for you, Just Dance 2020. And they came out, did their little thing, and that was it.
Yep. For Honor was after that. Again, I've never tried a For Honor game that's been free multiple times, and I still haven't picked it up. Rainbow Six.
I feel like that game at some point. I thought we all thought that it was dying, but it keeps getting resurrected.
They're still going,
and they're still going. And I've never I remember, was it last year? Like there was free for like the whole E3 week and everything, and now they have Shadows of Hitokiri, and I'm like, is this still a thing? Is this like, because For Honor is in every Ubisoft presser for the past 3 years since they launched.
I don't get that either.
I've
tried the first one and I wasn't digging it, and then this thing will not go away.
They are supporting.
Maybe
the
they know
crap
something we
out of
don't
this.
know.
Yeah,
I think it has a pretty decent competitive scene, so I think they're continuing to support it, if nothing else for that.
After that was Rainbow Six Quarantine, which is a PvE co-op game that's coming out. And then they went into some Division 2. They talked about the next 3 episodes that are coming out with new main missions. It's free to play. When you hear this, it's free to play until June 16th. In the fall, they've got the Pentagon that you can explore in. They were saying 3 new locations. Episode 1 is the zoo and a college. Episode 2 is the Pentagon. They didn't say episode 3, and it's funny that it's set in D.C., but it looked like I saw in the back it was a carnival setting. It looked like Coney Island.
It is. It's New York. Episode 3 is New York. Yep.
Interesting.
Nailed it.
Oh, they wrapped up their Division 2 section by announcing coming to Netflix is the Division 2 or the Division movie with Jessica Chastain and Jake Gyllenhaal, and that's going to be on Netflix. So
that
that's
was
kind of
interesting.
probably
I'll check it out.
A little bit of that partnership we heard about a few weeks ago.
Definitely check that out. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm all into that. That sounds great.
Yeah. And then finally, they, or I guess not finally, they talked about Uplay, Uplay Plus, which is the Ubisoft subscription service for $14.99 a month. It's a
what?
And it's a subscription service on PC.
PC and Stadia.
And Stadia, not on any console.
At least not at the moment.
Right. You can play all games, new and old, plus their DLC. But I mean, I love you, Ubisoft, but I already bought all the games that I wanted to play.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that what Game Pass is for crying out loud? Like, are they going to start limiting anything on Game Pass because they want you to play via Uplay? Like, how is this going to work? It's 2 competing things, but you want to play the same games on each, for Xbox, and I don't understand this at all.
So the only thing that I could think of that was maybe justify the more expensive or more premium costs for this service is you do get, for every game that they have on their service, you do get access to all the DLC, whereas like on Game Pass in particular, you get a discount towards the DLC. Now, I was told the other day that if it's a Microsoft Studios game, you actually get the DLC as well as part of Game Pass. Is that correct, Ed?
I don't know.
Like, for instance, this Lego thing that's being part of Horizon, like, you're not having to pay for that, right?
I don't think so, because I believe I paid for the season pass.
Okay. So what I was told was that if it's a Microsoft Studios game on Xbox Game Pass and DLC comes out, you get it as part of Game Pass, but all the other third-party stuff is not. You have to still purchase the DLC, and because you have a subscription to Game Pass, you get like a 10% discount on it or something, but you still have to purchase it. Whereas the Ubisoft one, any of the games that are on there, if there's DLC for any of those, the way that they kind of said it on their little thing that they were showing, their PowerPoint or whatever, it made it sound like you get every bit of DLC as part of the service. So maybe that justifies a $5 extra a month to somebody. I'm not sure.
Yeah. After that, they debuted Roller Champions, which looks kind of like a cross between Roller Derby and Rocket League.
Yep.
And it looked interesting. They didn't come out and say it, but they talked like they wanted this to be the new esport. But yeah, I don't know that I would stick at it. It might be fun for a bit. I don't know if I'd play it for long.
Yeah.
I agree. I was like, okay.
Yeah. It might be something to play with friends over for a little bit, but that might be it for me.
Yep.
And then they ended with a new IP called Gods and Monsters coming out February 25th, 2020. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of surprised that, no mention of Assassin's Creed and no mention of Beyond Good and Evil 2, which they went crazy with last year.
Exactly. That was my thing. I'm like, they ended with Gods and Monsters, and I didn't even like it. I was like, what is this? And then you end like that? Like, give me something about Assassin's Creed, like what's the next thing? Everybody's saying this and that and the other, and then nothing on Beyond Good and Evil 2. Come on.
Wasn't Gods and Monsters the one that was very Breath of the Wildish looking?
Yes. It looks very Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
So I was like, next.
Yep. Well, and next, I learned that it's pronounced Square Enix because they had their presser and everyone said Enix. They started off with the Final Fantasy VII gameplay and combat demo for the remake.
Gabe's head exploded.
Right. March 3rd, 2020. Gabe, what did you think,
They were still investigating why that Matt Lighty guy's head exploded, and then Gabe's exploded.
I know, right?
And then
Like,
Gabe's
what is going on this cruise?
Yes, brother, break it down for us, man. What are your thoughts on this? Because the place was going absolutely nuts during this whole thing.
Well, so what's crazy for me is that so many people are like, people are going to complain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So,
of course.
So when they first started showing Final Fantasy VII, people were like, no turn-based combat, no. And you're like, that's not why you love the game, is because of the turn-based combat. You like it because of the story and because you fall in love with the characters. I feel like the fighting, to me, in a lot of games, especially RPGs, are just a step. They're just the steps in between to level up and to get you to the rest of the story. I've never loved an RPG because of the combat. I've loved an RPG because of the story and how I got connected with the characters. And so for me, this new action-based combat is a plus to me, really. Like, now, of course, I love turn-based. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if they want to upgrade the ante and they want to make it action-based and make it kind of for this generation, quote unquote, I think that that's great. And so I was never perturbed by that. So seeing more of it is great. I'm glad that they're not listening to people saying change Barrett's voice because he sounds stereotypical. He's a big black guy and he sounds like a big black guy. And so that's fine for me. And yeah, that's day one for sure. The only thing I'm scared of is I have no idea in what sections they're going to give us this game. Or how, if it's going to be like the first episode is everything you do in Midgar and then you leave and that's episode 2. Yeah. I wish that, and so we just don't know what this whole episodic thing is going to bring. That's the only thing I'm a little worried about. I don't want it to be 25 episodes.
They did say that this one is going to only be in Midgar.
Yep.
Up to the point where you leave.
Yeah, but so it's going to be up to the point where you leave. Okay, so that's good to know, but then, and that's
how many more are there going to be
played there?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Once you leave, and it's like, is the Golden Saucer going to be one episode? I just don't know how much. With RPGs, it's weird to turn it into episodic for me because there's so much you go back to do. Mm-hmm. Oh, let me go back to this and get this done, or I wonder if I can go over here. Like, so is the world going to be cut off in certain situations where and I don't know how to say this word, but the first place you go to after you get to the world, I think is a small town. I don't remember if it's Nibelheim or whatever, kind of where Cloud says he was from or whatever. So something like that. And so I don't know if that's going to be is that going to be just one episode? And so that's the only thing that scares me is I just don't know how the episodes are going to break out. Well, but I mean, I'm getting it regardless.
They did talk about how it's a reimagining of the story. So I feel like they're going to change the way again, not having played the original one, I don't know if what I'm about to say makes total sense, at least not the way that the game was originally. Maybe they make it to where, like, once you're done with Midgar, and because you're going to have the entire section of Midgar, all that's encompassing in that opening part, maybe there's going to be so much extra content, or it's going to take you so much to do that you can do all your backtracking in that one, and then when you move on to episode 2, which it also kind of bothers me that they're not calling this Final Fantasy Remake Part 1 or something. It feels like it needs to have a subtitle because they can't all be Final Fantasy Remake, and then you're just expected to know from the box art what the heck it is. But maybe there won't be any backtracking because they're going to change the story in ways where that's not necessary anymore. I don't know if that scares somebody like you who played the original one. I don't know if that
I think it's going to
is not going to
work. I think
work.
it's going to scare people. Yes, it's not going to scare me.
Yeah.
But if it's like because I'm not big on that anyway. You know what I'm saying? But, sometimes when you were playing the game, remember too, when I first played it was high school. So there was no internet. There was no go figure out this. It was all word of mouth. And they'd be like, oh, dude, you didn't get the such and such at the blah, blah. And you're like, no, I didn't. And so you would go back and get it. So I just don't know if there will be any of that. And, it definitely changes it from being a true, what you would think of as an RPG into something different. So I don't even know if they've called this one an RPG at all.
I don't think they have. I will say I thought it looked really good. This is obviously the most of the gameplay stuff that we have seen, but we've seen a little bit of this gameplay in the past, a long time ago. I thought it looked great. It makes me interested in playing the game. I have never been a fan of turn-based combat. That's the main reason I've not ever played any Final Fantasy. I do know that 15 had more action-based stuff, but when it came out, there were a lot of other games I was wanting to play at that point in time. I'm super interested in this, and I still want to see more, but I feel like it's going to be something that I pick up. At least this chapter 1 is what I'm going to call it, or part 1, whatever you want to be. And, I'm excited to watch Router play it on the YouTube channel.
There you go.
Can't wait. Cannot wait.
Yeah, man.
I have a feeling you're going to end up liking it.
I might. You never know.
Yeah, I did see a headline, and I didn't get to read the whole story because I was out here on the boat, but IGN said Final Fantasy VII Remake hands-on. It's not a remake, it's a reinvention. And so to me, and the subtitle is Combat Good Enough to Give You Mako Eyes. And so, some people did get their hands on it here at E3.
What are Mako eyes?
So,
is that a character?
It's just, no, it's just like the stuff in the game. I don't know, Mako energy and all this business.
Okay.
And so one of the things to me, it felt like a positive title instead of being like, they've ruined millions of people's favorite game, Final Fantasy VII Remake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm just hoping that the people that got their hands on it and got to feel it, he even goes on to say that he's explained that Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat system is actually a great idea, not something that perturbs the game. So I just think that's I'm just excited to get my hands on it, see what they do with it, and I'll definitely be a day one guy. I'll probably I never buy collector's editions, but never say never.
I sent it to you. You better. It's probably already sold out. You better buy it the minute you get off that boat.
Yeah, I might have to do that.
Yeah, very true. I think you should totally do it.
Oh man. After that, we saw Life is Strange 2, Episode 2, which seems to take up after Captain Spirit that we saw last year. And so if you play that game, that story continues. Final Fantasy, Crystal Chronicles. And I know it's the name of a city or a country, but I just kept hearing miasma. So they kept on saying, look out for miasma.
Overshadowed.
And so, that comes in the winter.
I have an inhaler for that if you need it.
Right? They announced some Octopath Traveler and The Last Remnant remastered. I've heard of Octopath Traveler. I don't know anything about The Last Remnant, nor the need for it to be remastered.
Sure.
Yeah, Octopath is new, so that's interesting that it's getting remastered. Octopath Traveler is a game that a lot of people have been loving.
And PC,
RPG on the Switch. Yeah. I've thought a lot about getting it actually. I don't, I've said it before. I'm not a huge fan of the 8-bit thing or 16-bit, whatever they want to call it, the whole retro feel. So I think that's what's kept me from it. But a brother does love a demo, and so I did download the demo and play through that, and I could see why it's cool. I think you play as 8 different characters. You can start in any order you want, and their stories kind of intertwine each other. So I'm not really abreast on the whole thing with that game, but I've definitely looked at it a couple times to buy it just because people speak so highly of it.
Yeah. They had a Dragon Quest Builders 2, which kind of looked like Minecraft, but kind of it has an option to build your own dungeon crawler. Kind of looked kind of interesting if that's something that you're into. Coming out July 12th. Battalion 1944, which to me it looked like Battlefield, but if you wanted to play the first Battlefield and those graphics, it was just I was like, oh, I shouldn't have watched that trailer for those new Battlefield maps because Battalion looks not that good.
Nope. Well, it's an indie game too.
Yeah, that's true. Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC coming in December, so Gabe can look forward to some more talking.
I won't be doing that.
Come on, for the kids.
Yeah. It's funny. They still ask for the Mickey game. They're like, can we play the Mickey game? I'm like, no, we can't.
No,
The Mickey game
Mickey's
has been
died.
burned.
That's right.
I still have it. It hasn't made its way to eBay yet.
July
Getting
2nd,
there.
Final Fantasy XIV's third expansion pack. So you've got that to look forward to.
Lord have mercy.
It turned into the Final Fantasy presser.
Yep.
Dying Light 2.
Sounds like a lot of DLC too.
Yes. Romancing Saga 3. And then they mentioned Final Fantasy Brave Exvius War of the Visions in development. So they're thinking about that. Final Fantasy VIII
Thinking about
remastered. And then the moment everyone was waiting for, and then immediately everyone was angry about, the reveal of Marvel Avengers coming May 15th, 2020. Single player.
They didn't like it.
And co-op. They've got a heck of a cast. They've got Troy Baker, Travis Willingham, Laura Bailey, Nolan North, Jeff Scheim playing Bruce Banner, Thor, Black Widow, Iron Man, and the one I forgot to write down in that order.
Captain America.
Captain America.
So-
Thank you. And
So second son with some extra people.
exactly. That's what
exactly.
it is. And I know that I've had a
Crystal
good
Dynamics.
Yep, I've had a good influence on Sarah because they said we're going to introduce the cast, and they all came out before they even said who they were. Sarah said these guys get all the jobs, so
Yeah.
I've had a good influence on
Yes,
Sarah.
you're right.
But the characters didn't look like the movie versions, and that seems to be what a lot of people were angry about. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, so what?
Because
That's fine.
Batman didn't look like any of
What
the
did they look
Batman.
like? I didn't
Pretty
see.
dang
I didn't
close
see him.
though. I mean, it's not like they were night and day differences to me.
See, Sarah thought it was based on all of them, and to me, they didn't look anything alike.
I agree. Like Tony Stark didn't look.
Oh,
like Tony
okay. I'm
Stark.
sorry. Do you mean the actual character, or like I'm thinking the costumes
Yes.
and stuff? That's what.
No,
I
the actors.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I see.
The
what you're
actors,
Saying. I see
yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And I didn't have a problem like Spider-Man.
have
He
a
didn't
problem
look
with
like Tobey Maguire or anything. But that being said, Spider-Man looks way better than these characters do.
Yeah.
and that's why other people were mad is because hey, we don't care that they don't look like the movies. We care because it kind of doesn't look that good.
Yeah.
So there was a huge outcry online of people just. I don't know if they're going to Sonic this one or what, but it was there were not a lot of happy internet people after this came out.
Wow. Do you feel like I wonder if anybody's done a comparison to more the comic book characters?
Well, and that's
I don't know.
yeah, and that's the thing too is
I mean,
like
Captain America doesn't look like a Captain America I've seen before.
right, and depending on who the artist is for that comic series, one Captain America might look different from another in the comics, and so it's I was kind of surprised that people were mad that hey, that's not Robert Downey Jr. Well,
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah. Well,
You know?
you're like, no, you're right. That's not Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
Do you want the game to be over $100 in licensing and,
Yeah.
and royalties?
Exactly.
Let's back this up a little bit. I'll take Troy Baker as Bruce Banner any day, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. So that was kind of to sit back and watch people be so excited and then instantly so angry. It was kind of just I was the meme of the guy eating popcorn over and over again.
Yeah, me
watching.
too.
Yes.
I didn't mind it at
Yes.
all. I kind of was like, all right, show me some more. This looks kind of
yeah,
interesting.
I don't
There's
have
no
a problem
loop
with them not looking like the movie versions.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I don't.
So this is a thought of mine. Like, I just wonder, because you have to give artists some kind of leeway.
yeah. Yeah.
And so, they're not. Do you want them to look like the movie? Do you want them to look like the comic? Do you want them to look like the video game? You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, they're all three very different mediums of entertainment. And so I know that we've been force-fed Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Hemsworth.
Right.
But I don't think we can use their likenesses, guys. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way.
No.
We got to let them
No,
go at
not at
some
all.
point. They're like, yeah, they're not going to be those
Yeah,
guys
exactly.
forever for us. We got to,
And even if they did look like them, everybody would just be complaining that they don't sound like them.
Right.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, Iron Man has a mask on probably most of the time anyway. Like, what are we worried about?
Right. So yeah, I just thought that was.
I mean, do the Legos ones look just like them? Does the cartoon ones look just like them? I mean,
Exactly.
There's so many, like Ed just said, there's so many different iterations.
Yeah, it's just.
And for me, I think it's interesting. Like, yeah, bring it on, bring on more iterations. It just kind of enhances everything about Marvel and what the Avengers are. So I was all about it. I feel like this could be a decent story, with A-Day and how they presented it. Like, this could be very, very interesting. So
Yeah, they said they'll have an online co-op with free DLC, no loot boxes, or pay to win. I'm not exactly sure exactly what that is, but
yeah, they made a point to say no loot boxes or pay to win scenarios, and I'm like, okay,
yeah,
great.
If you and they said that the PlayStation, if you get it there, you'll get access to the early beta and unique benefits. And they would not go into any further detail about unique benefits,
which I found a bit strange. Like I kind of thought, look, we were past all the. Oh, this platform will have some exclusive stuff. Like I can't even remember the last time we've seen that, and so I wasn't expecting to
Call
hear
of
that.
Duty last year.
Yeah, Call of Duty is
Call
like
of
the
Duty
last
last year
one
was
doing
like
it
that.
right now, where they do get the map packs early still, but like
okay, right?
I couldn't think of another one besides that one, so I just wasn't expecting to hear that.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that we still have a lot of the first to play, kind of things, and so I think it's just probably
Maybe.
a cousin of that kind of thing,
Right. The final presser was Nintendo, and you guys know I'm not a Nintendo person, so I wasn't excited about anything I heard, but I was excited for people who I knew were Nintendo people.
Right.
Because, most people are saying Nintendo won E3. So I'm just glad that there are so many things coming out in 2019 that they announced. So I thought it was a really good presser for Nintendo. They started off with Super Smash Brothers DLC Dragon Quest Summer 2019. And then they went right into Dragon Quest II RPG Definitive Edition Expanded Storyline September 27th, 2019. And then I thought it was really cool. My highlight of the Nintendo presser was they had the wrong Bowser come out when they introduced Doug Bowser. The wrong Bowser came out and had a cute little interaction. I thought that was very funny.
Wait, explain to me what happened. I didn't get to see it.
They had I don't remember his name or even his title. I feel kind of like the Japanese Nintendo
Head honcho.
Head honcho. Thank you. Say, and now someone you've been dying to meet, and 3D animated Bowser came out and kind of grunt, and then Doug Bowser came out and he's like, no, you're not the right Bowser.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that kind of a thing. So it was a really cute
Nice.
little thing they did. They talked about Luigi's Mansion 3, which looked kind of cool, coming out in 2019.
Yeah, people love those games.
Yeah, they're introducing a Luigi. Yeah. So it looked kind of fun. I got to admit, that game looked kind of fun. They talked about the Netflix Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics. It's what looked like a mobile game. I wasn't quite sure. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, September 20th,
or a remake or something like that?
I think so.
Remaster, I think.
Yeah.
Is it a remaster?
I believe so.
Trials of Mana, Square Enix action RPG. Also, the Collection of Mana was available that day. Trials of Mana coming out early 2020. They mentioned The Witcher Wild Hunt Complete Edition coming in 2019.
There you go.
Get out of Skellige.
It's hard for me not to get.
Get the Skellige, man. You can get the Skellige now.
I'm just gonna get and play some more doggone Glint or whatever that game was.
There you go. Gwent, yeah.
Gwent. Yeah, that Gwent is going down on the Switch, baby.
There you go.
Fire Emblem.
Those cards.
Three Houses. It looked like a class reunion gone wrong. Coming July 26th, 2019.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Resident Evil, and they had a little pre-recorded thing where like you can play in a haunted house if you want. Which I thought was stupid.
5 and 6.
5
right?
and 6. Yes. 2 more Resident Evil titles coming to the Switch.
That's us, player. 4 and 5. That's us. 4 and 5.
There you go.
Sorry.
There you go.
Cedric the Entertainer. 5 and 6.
No More Heroes 3 coming in 2020. Contra Rogue Core, September 24th, 2019. And then they announced the Contra Anniversary Collection, 10 Contra games available now.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Okay.
Contra.
Yes.
I've been watching my kids play. They love playing it on the SNES Classic.
Do they really?
Those games are tough. Them
They
jokers
are
don't make it
tough.
out the first level ever.
Right.
Ever.
Yep.
So I don't feel like being frustrated with that, but I'm glad it's coming.
I think that Contra Anniversary Collection, isn't that what you called it?
Yes.
I think that's coming on a bunch of different things as well.
Oh, is it really?
If you don't have a Switch, I know it's on PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
I think it's going to Xbox as well.
Oh, look at that. All right.
So if you don't have a Switch, you at least have other options. If
There you
Contra's
go.
your
I like
thing.
that.
Yeah.
Damon X Machina Space Battle. Looks like kind of like a mix between Anthem and Star Wars, coming September 13th, 2019. Dragoon,
Yeah.
which was
yes. Yes,
coming
Panzer
this winter.
Dragoon.
Have you heard of that?
Oh, I used to love that game.
Really? I'd never heard of that.
Sir.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. We used to play it on I'm going to get this wrong. I want to say the Saturn or the Dreamcast. It was way back in the day. I loved Panzer Dragoon. That was one of the things I highlighted when I was looking up, because I guess Sega did a little something, and they talked about Panzer Dragoon remake, which is sick. I'll definitely get that, and Phantasy Star Online too.
Very nice. Oh, I'm glad you guys knew that one then. That's cool. I didn't realize that was like an older game.
Yeah.
Astral Chain was next. It looked kind of like Borderlands in Tokyo, coming out August 30th, 2019. Empire of Sin, which had gangsters from like the 30s and 40s. I thought that looked awesome, coming spring 2020. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which was kind of cool to see Ghost Rider pop up in a game. That made me happy. July 19th. Cadence of Hyrule, you can play as Link or Zelda. Fight to the Beat, June 13th, 2019. Another Mario and Sonic Olympic game coming in November.
Oh, I'll be getting that too.
Yeah, those are always fun.
I love,
You love
those
those
games.
games.
I love track and field games so much. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Animal Crossing Deserted Island seemed to be a huge response from the crowd, coming March 20th, 2020. I don't know anything about Animal Crossing. Have you guys played that?
Nope.
Sweet. They mentioned a whole. Then they just got a truck full of titles and dumped them out all over the stage of things that are coming. And then they went to Super Smash Brothers DLC, Banjo Kazooie, and it was all over. And then they said, "Oh wait, then there's this," and it said the sequel to Breath of the Wild is now in development. It was just a black screen with white titles that said Breath of the Wild now in development. So they're thinking about that too. They bought a desk.
So, like, here's the deal.
I'll get it.
Here's the deal.
I'll definitely get it and play Breath of the Wild too.
Here's
I know
the
you
deal. Gabe, please speak to this if this makes any sense. I understand, like, something being confirmed that you hope for or whatever and being excited. Awesome. I feel like people were losing their minds that they announced that a Breath of the Wild 2 is in development. It's like the minute I finished Horizon Zero Dawn, I was like, oh, yeah, they're making a part 2. I mean, why was everybody not... people were acting like... I never thought a thing like this could happen. Why? It was the most successful Switch game ever.
Because
Like, why was this
Right.
not anticipated? I didn't understand quite the hype level of an announcement that we're making a game you should have expected we were making.
here's what I think.
Okay.
Please enlighten me because I do not get it. I really don't.
You're gonna get it right after I say
Oh, I'm
this.
gonna bring it.
Oh, snap. All right, bring it on.
You just never know with these jokers. You never know with Nintendo. And so, some of these games, Dragon Quest, and some of these older games that like are kind of getting revamped and stuff like that, it's stuff people have been asking for years and years and years and don't get it. And so finally, when you do get it, you're super excited, yes. So for them to be doing Breath of the Wild 2, really for Nintendo on the heels of the first Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe why they were so excited, because they're dreaming that it's coming sooner than later, when, the first Breath of the Wild was so big and so expansive that they might have thought, oh, they won't even talk about this for another 3 years. And so for them to announce it, what's the Switch, 3 years old now? And so to announce it, if it's even that old, sorry, my brain's not working, but to have it come and them at least announce it is like, oh snap, all right, they're already back at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why. Does that make sense, Chris?
I mean, I guess I still just the minute I would have got done playing that game, because it's the biggest Nintendo game in a long time, and it's a new version of, like, they totally revamped Zelda. Like someone who did not play the game immediately thought, like, well, they'll have some type of sequel, if not like a number. It may not be nomenclatured number 2, but it'll be something that's at least in the same art style and same kind of just expands upon the success that they did here. I hear what you're saying, because Nintendo's crazy and Nintendo does crazy stuff and sometimes doesn't do things that seem obvious, but I just felt like this is way too obvious to not be a reality. So I just didn't get it. I mean, glad for them. You guys, you Zelda people, go nuts. I'm fine. I'm happy about it. I just don't get it. I don't get the unexpected.
I'm just saying. Now, I'm not saying that it was unexpected. Because I think that I'm like you. I just figured another one was coming because it did so good. I don't think I'd be. So I think the initial release was 2017. So that's 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's very quick for them, I feel like, to be saying that they're already working on a second one. So I think it's just the hype of like, holy crap, they're already doing it. Heck yes. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. 2 years is I feel like is quick for them, for Nintendo.
But when will we see it? Do you think?
I think it's just probably.
I think it's going to be a while. Yeah, it's going to be a while. But to just go ahead and throw that little thing out there, to me, it reminds me of like Shenmue 3 and like all the.
And Final Fantasy VII. Remember the first time we heard about the remake was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Exactly.
It seems like,
Yeah, but that original game came out decades ago. I mean, that's a little bit of a different course of a different color there.
Yeah, but they always said that it was never coming. You know what I'm saying? They were like, oh, we'll never probably remake Final Fantasy VII. So it was like always a pipe dream. And then when they announced it, it didn't matter when it was coming. It was just that you were excited that it was even coming.
Right.
And so I understand what you're saying, Chris. It maybe shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, maybe not. But like, it's Nintendo people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was, when I saw that it was coming, I was like, oh, freak, yes, I'm getting that. Because I fell in love with the game late in the game. And I'll definitely get the second one. So I'm glad to see that they're not letting it sit for 5 years before they, at least say that they're doing it.
Definitely.
But Gabe, you said that game was huge though, right? So if they're doing it too, I would expect
I thought it was
would
big,
be,
yeah.
Yeah, I would expect that this is going to be huge too, which means it's going to take a lot more time. So, I mean, I guess you can dangle the carrot out there, but we're all going to forget about it in a year. Because it's still
and I mean,
it's
just like, and too, Chris, I think that, and maybe it's not the same thing. Maybe there's not apples to apples, but like, I always assumed that they would make a second Last of Us, but when they announced it, it was like, oh, freak, and everybody's freaking out.
Exactly.
And we did a reaction video to it. It stayed on our top 10 for forever, and it was like, of course, we knew it was coming too, but the fact that they did it and announced it and said, we're working on it. Here's who's in it. Ellie's in it. You hear Joel.
Yeah.
It was like, heck yes, and we were super excited.
That's true.
I guess just to make sure that I'm being clear here, my
and it's only 2 years.
Yeah, but it wasn't that I was like, oh, why y'all getting excited? This isn't a thing to be excited about. That wasn't the thing. It's like the number of tweets that I saw of people saying like, I can't believe they're doing it seemed odd to me. But I hear everything you're saying, and especially when you kind of talked about it with The Last of Us, I always kind of thought they were going to do a second one for me personally, but I know a lot of people didn't. So I kind of, that analogy clicks with me more than any of the other stuff that you said. So now I'm kind of understanding where you're coming from. But it wasn't that I was like, I thought I was like, why are y'all getting excited about another Zelda? I totally understand that. I just, I was expecting it, but yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from now.
Yeah, and you've ramped up. I think, looking at the list, I didn't get to see the Nintendo press conference, but looking at the list, I'm like, okay, that's a lot of fan service going on in there. And so they've already like just primed the engine, and then when you just kind of drop that, the whole, wait, but there's more thing always gets a bigger reaction than if they would have just thrown it in the middle of the conference.
Right.
Agreed.
Right. There you go. E3.
Woo!
E3, baby. 2019.
Whoosh.
I love it. Did you guys have let's just talk about standouts real quick and we'll close this thing down. We'll save questions and everything for next week. just because we've run long already. But did you guys have a winner in mind just when you were looking at it? It feels like it was a pretty good, stout E3 in all. Of course, we're missing Sony. We don't hear anything about the PS5. At least I didn't. I didn't see any. I mean, I've heard their name mentioned a bunch, but I didn't see any like for the hype of like Netflix at E3. I don't feel like I got any of that. Did I miss that, or did you guys see? I mean, I've heard you say it a bunch, but not like itself.
Yeah, nothing that made me think, oh, that's what they were talking about. They announced The Division on Netflix.
Right.
But it's kind of like how they were saying, oh my gosh, Xbox said that Nintendo is a presser to watch tomorrow. Oh, they're going to announce Games with Gold or Xbox Live on Nintendo. And then nothing really happened, so.
Right. Yeah. And so I was thinking, with Jeff Keighley kind of saying, oh yeah, and we got Netflix at E3. I was ready for them to do a presser.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
You would think.
And so I feel like that was a little...
And maybe they've got a booth there doing something. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like a little goose egg for me. I'm like, wait, where was the Netflix stuff that I thought we were getting?
Mm-hmm.
So I just think it's pretty solid. I loved what Ed's texted us earlier this week. He was like, no spoilers, because, that's what I was asking for. He was like, but I was really impressed with a lot of the press conferences. So I don't know if there's like the standout. I feel like if Microsoft would have shown maybe even a prototype of the Xbox, the next one, or, I know did they stick with the name Scarlet the whole time instead of like saying it was the Xbox 2 or anything like that?
Yeah, they just said Project Scarlet.
And so I think that, so that kept me from, from being super excited. I love the Ultimate thing. I thought that was great, but I don't feel like anybody was, Chris used this analogy earlier, but I didn't feel like anybody was like head and shoulders above the other ones. Of course, Microsoft, Nintendo, when you hear from them, you're happy. We didn't get to hear from Sony, but when you start getting into EA and Ubisoft and Square Enix and like, all that stuff is so spread out everywhere that you're happy to hear from them, but it's not like, and we're doing this.
Yeah.
And so for me, like literally, and I said it earlier, the thing that stole the show for me, especially with the stuff I got to watch, was I love that Witcher's coming to Switch. I absolutely love that. I feel like Nintendo's being very purposeful on bringing more adult things to the Nintendo brand, which they've always shied away from. And then really it was Keanu and seeing that Cyberpunk 2077. I thought that little section to me was what stole it away from me, and that was part of the Microsoft conference. So I got to go with Microsoft on this one. Chris, what about you?
I'm gonna be a bit of an outlier. Overall, I was a little underwhelmed with this year's E3. I didn't come away from it like being super stoked about anything. I feel like probably, in my opinion, because I'm not a huge Nintendo guy, because I also saw a lot of that stuff on Twitter and other areas of the internet where a lot of people saying like, oh my gosh, Nintendo had the best showing of all of E3. So I'm not going to say that they weren't. A lot of that stuff doesn't hit home with me, but I feel like Microsoft probably had the best show because they should have, in my opinion. They were set up the best to have.
It was their E3 to lose.
Yeah, and I don't.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I don't think
like if they don't win, it's almost a letdown.
Well, I don't think that they lost anything. I think it'd be silly to use that kind of term. I was really expecting them to bring it hard because they had it all their own, and I don't really feel like they did. I feel like they still held back just a little bit. And I don't.
That's kind of how I felt.
I mean,
it feels
almost
like
their entire
you don't have
show
your biggest competition there.
Yeah, almost their entire show.
Why are you not blasting
was stuff that was shown also last year, like the vast majority, not everything, but a lot of it was. And I was like, I really thought they were gonna just bam, 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 because they had the full opportunity. Again, I don't think it was bad. I'm sitting here saying I feel like their showing was probably the best. It had the biggest wow moment with the whole Keanu thing. My game of the show, out of everything that I saw at E3, the thing that intrigued me the most was a game called 12 Minutes that we mentioned earlier, and that was on the Microsoft stage. So to me, I have to go with them, even though I don't feel like it was like a huge, like it wasn't a grand slam. It was like a solid, they made it to second or third base. They did a really good run.
I was hoping they were gonna blast it out of the park. Obviously, we hope for Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo. You always hope at least them three just blast it out of the park. And I feel like in a year where it's like, hey, you got no competition. We're gonna lob you this baseball. We want you to send it 450 feet. You know what I mean? They didn't feel like they did that to me. What about you, Tim?
Yeah, Chris, I'm kind of with you. I was kind of meh about a lot of the games. There's not a ton of games that I think I'm going to play based on these announcements. Definitely Cyberpunk, because I'm a huge CD Projekt Red person anyway. I will say the one press release I enjoyed the most because of just game for game and the pace was Square Enix. I want to say Square Enix or Square Enix, because it was just trailer after trailer after trailer after game announcement after game announcement, and it just kept going, and I loved that. I'm not going to get any of those games, but I loved how I loved how they presented it, because it was just one after the other, and the energy in that theater. Like, I could hear it, and people were freaking out. There was one dude that just screamed out, "Take my money!"
Yep.
It was great. Like, they had, I think, the hypest energy out of all of them, because they just kept throwing things at you, that's the kind of, I don't need the head of so-and-so to come on out and just tell me more about the game. Show me the game. Show me a trailer. Show me something. I don't need the presentation. Give me the visuals and everything. So for me, like, as far as just how the press releases went, I feel Square was amazing. And I agree. I really wish Sony was there. The whole time I'm going, Sony, what do you have? Because Microsoft just came out and they did their grand show, and they should win E3, as they should, because they're monsters in the whole industry. But I just felt like, okay, but I really missed Sony. I missed that hype of, what do they got? And we don't have
the back and forth.
Yeah, I love that kind of back and forth. So it was so for me. So,
But you are, just to back up a little bit, you are getting at least one of those Square Enix games, because you're playing Final Fantasy Remake.
I have to play Final Fantasy VII Remake. And so, I mean, I when I was watching the combat, I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like, it's definitely interesting, but I just can't get into this story yet, and maybe I will.
I don't know anything about the story. You got to wait till you get in there and look.
Jack squat about the story.
You'll find out when you play it.
Exactly, and so I'll just have to play it.
Edward?
For me, it was Xbox. I mean, to sound like a broken record, Cyberpunk 2077 just blew me away. And then also, just as someone with Game Pass, I mean, that's just like a bunch of free games, and not just the ones that they announced, but they're like every ID on Xbox game is on Game Pass that's coming out, and it's just like, hey,
that's right.
All of these games, I've just got a bunch of games that I can, like I did with Fallout 76, I can try them, and I don't have to worry about paying for them individually, and I can, if I don't like that one, next, and most of them, I'm curious to pick up, I want to play Ori. And this way I can not feel guilty about having to admit that I can't beat the game. They're just Game Pass again. It just sold it for me. And then with the bundle they have with the Xbox Live and the Game Pass, I was a happy camper.
Nice.
I tell you what, there is no, for me, the thing that always gives me chills, and I think that and because Sony wasn't there, because I think they do this too, but Microsoft, when you're watching the conference and it goes world premiere, and then you hear everybody like inhale, like like that just always gives me chills, because I'm like, oh, it's gonna be something we don't know. I love that.
And one of those was world premiere, and we get Flight Simulator. I was like, really?
That was weird. Yeah.
For me, I was like, that's your bigwig. That's your world premiere right there. Flight Sim. No, you throw that at the end, or like that's just
that
like
was funny.
That's a flashback. I was like, Flight Simulator, really?
Yeah, I think they put that squarely in the middle for that reason, because they know that that's not going to be. You don't want to start or end with that.
Exactly.
Man, well, that is our E3 talk. Thank you guys so much for being here. I know this is a long show. Thank you guys for hanging in there, listening with us. Thank you guys for dealing with me with this rough internet on the boat. Man, this is the best week for gamers, man, and we soak it up every single time. We love sitting down and watching what these guys are bringing, and we know that there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears poured into all this stuff, and so we're excited to be gamers. It's such a good time to be a gamer, man. I'm going to keep saying this. It's a good time just to be somebody who loves the different medias, television, movies, video games. I feel like this is just such a good time for that. So,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, exciting times ahead for sure, man. But drop us. We're not gonna do a question of the week, but drop us in the Twitter and the Discord what you guys thought of E3 too. Who do you guys think won? We'd love to hear about that. Maybe that'll be the question of the week, and we'll read both questions of the week next week. Who do you think won E3? What stuck out to you the most? And we'll talk about it next week. And I'll finally be back home.
Nice.
It'll be nice. Be back in the shed. So thank you guys so much for listening. I'm Gabe Patillo. That is Tim Router. That is Ed Placencia. That's Chris McCracken. And we are married to the games. And we are up out this thing. Peace!